The 1991 Winston Cup season was uncorked in dramatic style, as Daytona stunned us with yet another first-time victor, Ernie Irvan. The California driver challenged and beat the favorites, taking home the most coveted prize in all of stock car racing. The Kodak team was off to a great start in '91. After the turbulence of the short tracks, we toasted Talladega, but the results were shattering and sensational. 17 cars were involved in a massive pileup on the backstretch. Kyle Petty suffered a broken leg that still has him on the sidelines. The crash occurred as more than half the field was running side by side and nose to tail. Besides Petty, there were no other serious injuries in the crash. The winless Fords ventured to Charlotte and found their salvation in Davey Allison. Now we move to the calm surroundings of the Northern California wine country. But there's an uneasiness in the air. Once again, the drivers visit the race circuit that has in the past provided some excitement of its own. But it's also shown us some great competition. The best of the Winston Cup road racers now get serious. Could it all have been the calm before the Sonoma storm? ESPN, the world's leader in motorsports coverage, presents Speed World. Today, from the wine country of the Sonoma Valley of Northern California, one of the most fertile valleys in all of the United States, where vineyard after vineyard dots the countryside. It's also an area of major recreation. And there's a lot of agriculture also in the Sonoma Valley. Also there, you'll find Sears Point International Raceway and today's Banquet Frozen Foods 300 Winston Cup race. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, and welcome to Sears Point, a demanding 2.5-mile road course. It's been about a month since we televised a Winston Cup race for you, and what a great place to return to our action. Let's take a look at the point standings. There have been 2 races in the past month showing that Dale Earnhardt remains on top of this quest for the Cup. Ricky Rudd 82 points behind, followed by Darrell Waltrip. Harry Gant is in 4th place, and the most recent winner in Winston Cup competition last weekend at Dover, Kenny Schrader, is in 5th position in the points. When you talk about road courses, though, you think of 2 drivers, Rudd and Rusty Wallace. They've won the last 8 road course races in Winston Cup competition. Now, last year at Watkins Glen, we experimented with our coverage, and it was so successful we're going to do it again today. I'll be in the booth all by myself. Ned and Benny are going to be out on the course calling the action and making observations. Benny, where are you going to start today's race from? Well, with the advent of new technology and experimentation, we're having some early problems here at Sears Point with Benny's microphone, but as you can see, he has positioned himself up around turn number 1, where this field will be charging after the green flag uphill toward turns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then they're going to head down a straightaway, one of the fastest portions of the course, and slam on the brakes and gear down for corner number 7, and that's where Ned is. How are things up there, Ned?
Great, Bob. I think we'll see some real action here today, and if there's one place on the course that it might be relatively easy to pass, it is coming into turn 7 and perhaps coming off of turn 7. If you can outbrake somebody going in, okay, but they come into a relatively flat turn, so they're down in 2nd gear when they come into this position. But remember back in 1989 when Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace were having such a battle, and Rudd made the pass on the inside, sort of sent Rusty out into the Toolies? Well, that's what can happen when you come off of here, trying to come off of here too abreast. But there's always exciting racing up here on this end, and there's things that happen in the pits that has the outcome to do with the race as well, and that's where Dr. Jerry Punch is.
Well, Ned, Jeff Bodine making it back for the first time in 4 weeks. Remember, early in May at Charlotte, he had that practice wreck and he broke 3 ribs in his right side, punctured a lung, was in the hospital, had to have surgery, had to actually have a tube inserted to decompress the pressure in his lung and let the lung reinflate. He is back in a race car for the first time. and he has a rib protector. Now, he was dressing earlier today and putting this bright yellow protector on, made by Power Athletic Equipment out of Texas. It's an air impact system. It has a foam vest surrounded by a piece of carbon fiber. As he buckles this rib protector on, you can hit him and pound him with whatever. He can run back and forth in the seat, and it doesn't create a problem. It makes him sort of a Superman, as Jeff Bodine will show the crowd. He's still buckling, and he has this big Hulk Hogan shirt, by the way, which he was sent when he was, and which makes him a very muscular guy. Of course, Jeff Bodine, who finished 4th here last year, coming out of semi-retirement for 4 weeks, now getting back in the Flossie Johnson Budweiser car. He qualified 12th and looking for a good finish today. Remember, they turn right 6 times out of the 11 turns on this road course, so that's why it'll be much less pressure on his right side ribs. Let's go further up pit road to John Kernan.
Well, Jerry, Kyle Petty, as we had told you earlier, broken his leg in that accident in Talladega. Now, he is going through the long, sometimes painful, very difficult process of rehabilitation, so he will not be in the car today. Instead, road racer Tommy Kendall, a specialist. And Kyle, I heard you said the other day that it was pretty good to have someone like Tommy in the car. Might even be better for Felix, your car owner, than if he had you in there.
Oh, it's definitely going to be better for Felix and the crew and Mello Yellow and Pontiac and everybody. You know, Tommy's an exceptional road racer. He came out here and he qualified 5th. I might not have made the race the way I get around road courses sometimes, so we're going to be out there pulling for him.
But you had a difficult time cheering. As you notice, you can hear Kyle has a touch of laryngitis. So, Kyle, I'll ask you a very brief question here. Do you have a goal set for getting back in the race car?
Well, you know, I want to get back as quick as I can, but I want to be able to play golf when I get to be 50 or 60 years old, too, so I'm taking care of my leg. I go over to the Miller Clinic and spend a couple hours a day, and really there's not a goal. I'd like to get back before October or November, sometime like that, but till that time, I'm going to put me a big old Mello Yellow flag on the end of my crutch here, and I'm going to pull for whoever's driving the car.
Okay, well, Kyle is going to take a position above the hill up near where Benny Parsons is. He will be watching the race from there. Now, Bob?
Thank you, John. I'll tell you what, the cars have made their way onto this race course, and look at the tremendous crowd that has gathered for this event. It is just amazing. We had a major traffic problem a little bit earlier, but everybody's in now, and we're ready to go for this 300-kilometer race. In-car cameras being carried today by Tom Kendall in Kyle Petty's car. As you can see, he is warming up the tires, getting all the temperatures up for the start of this race. They're going to take 3 laps before they get the green flag, so it'll be quite a while before we do get the start to this event. Pace car leads the cars down through turn number 10 now, and let's take a look at the die-hard starting grid for today's event. On the pole from Chesapeake, Virginia, in the number 5 Tide Chevrolet is Ricky Rudd, qualifying at 90.634. On the outside of the front row, his best start this year, Terry Labonte in the number 94 Sunoco Ultra Oldsmobile. He's from Corpus Christi, Texas. Going to row number 2, it's Dale Earnhardt, the current points leader in the number 3 GM Goodwrench Chevrolet. And then Rusty Wallace in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac, car number 2. In the third row, it is Tom Kendall in the number 42 Mellow Yellow Pontiac. And then Ken Schrader from Benton, Missouri. He drives the Kodiak Chevrolet, car number 25. Starting 7th is Alan Kulwicki in the Hooters Ford number 7. He's from Greenfield, Wisconsin. Flanking him on the right is Michael Waltrip from Owensboro, Kentucky, in the number 30 Pennzoil Pontiac. Starting 9th will be Lake Speed in car number 66, the Trop Arctic Pontiac, and then Darrell Waltrip in the Western Auto Chevrolet, car number 17. The 6th row has Ernie Irvin in car number 4 and Jeff Bodine in Flossie Johnson's car number 97. Going to row number 7, it's Davey Allison in car number 28, who had the most successful month in Charlotte. Mark Martin starts in number 6 alongside in row number 7. The 8th row, Sterling Marlin, car number 22, and Dave Marcus in number 71. Going to row number 9, it's Joe Ruttman in car 75, and another one of those road course specialists, Irv Hare, car number 44. Back in row number 10, it's Rick Wilson in car number 8 and Morgan Shepherd in number 15. The 11th row consists of Dale Jarrett in car number 21 and the ageless Herschel McGriff, who is one of the Winston West competitors competing in this event here today, out-qualifying all of the much younger drivers. Herschel McGriff outside of row number 11. The 12th row is Harry Gant in car number 33 and Hut Strickland in car number 12. Going to row number 13, it's Bill Schmidt in car number 73, another Winston West driver, and Bill Elliott in number 9. The 14th row is Chad Little in 19 and Brett Bodine in 26. The 15th row, Bill Sedgwick from Winston West and Derek Cope in number 10. Scott Gaylord will drive number 00 along with Mickey Gibbs in number 24. The 17th row consists of Bobby Hillen in 52 and Stanley Smith in 49. In row 18, it's Bobby Hamilton and R.K. Smith making his first Winston Cup race. The 19th row, Ted Musgrave in 55 and Jimmy Spencer in 98. Richard Petty will start inside of row number 20 along with another Winston West driver, John Krebs, in number 99. The 21st row consists of Rick Mass and Mike Chase. All these drivers are provisionals. And in the 22nd row, all alone in car number 91 will be Robert Sprague. There you can see the cars going through turn number 7 where Ned is stationed. And Benny, is your microphone working? Can you talk to me?
Bob, did you do this on purpose? Kill my microphone.
No, but it's a good idea.
I'm down in turn 1, Bob. Well, actually, where the cars exit turn 1. If you're not familiar with turn 1, remember in 1989 when Mark Martin made his pit stop, came out and the wheel fell off, he flipped on his roof? That was entering turn 1. Now, this Thursday, Mark Martin exiting turn 1. He got off the course, hung a wheel off the course, hit the wall hard, destroyed his road race car. So I am probably at the most exciting place on the racetrack, Bob. Sorry you couldn't be here with me, but I'll try to tough it out. I'm sure you will, too.
I'm sure it's nice and comfortable out there, isn't it? It isn't too warm here today. Beautiful weather, as a matter of fact. And there you can see some of the crowd that has gathered here. Field coming down now into turn number 11, the final one, before coming onto the main straightaway. In one more lap, we'll get the green flag and the start of today's Banquet Frozen Foods 300-kilometer Winston Cup race from Sears Point International Raceway. Very demanding road course that they'll be competing on, and here is another innovation that we actually started last year at Watkins Glen in our support race. This won an Emmy Award for ESPN Speed World coverage. The telemetry there on the right of your screen. It will show you the miles per hour up there. You can see it 40, 41. The RPM of the car, 5111 now. You will see when the driver is on the brake. That will flash on and on for you. By the way, this is in Tom Kendall's car. It will also show you how he's on the accelerator. As you can see right now, he is in second gear. So all of that information will be available to you as you watch Tom Kendall go around this 2.5-mile road course. Again, the field moves through turn number 7, and this time around they should be getting the green flag. After they go through turn number 7 here, they enter what we call the S's. This is turn number 8 that they're going through right now. Also turn number 9 and number 10. This is one of the fastest portions of the racetrack, aside from that area that leads to turn number 7 that Ned told you about. But this is very, very fast here in these series of S's. Specifically, we'll show you the layout of this racetrack. It is a 2.52-mile road course. The pole speed was 90.634 just off the track record. The time, 1:40.09. We'll go 74 laps, and the field is separated by 3.6 miles per hour. Here come the cars now down through turn number 10, and in just a few moments we're going to be getting a start to this 300-kilometer race. Coming down the straightaway now, headed for turn number 11, the final one on the course before we get the green flag. Benny, they're just about to head your way. Any final thoughts here before we go green?
Bob, this is going to be one of the most exciting green flags that I've seen doing television. They're going to take the green and come straight at me, and then we're going to see how many can make it through turn 2.
And Ned, what's the feeling up in turn number 7 as we get set to go?
Feeling great, Bob, but they won't be able to run side by side if we've seen them on these pace laps. They're going to have to single out a little bit, and we'll see that happening in the first couple of laps.
Ricky Rudd on the pole in the Tide Chevrolet. Terry Labonte is alongside. The cars come off of the 11th corner and they get the green flag. The Banquet Frozen Foods 300 underway. Look at the cars flash by there. Some of the cars get that right front tire off the ground as they come through this area. Everybody seems to have survived those first couple of corners as they come uphill now, headed toward turn number 5. after reaching this point. They're standing on the gas and headed toward you, Ned, in turn number 7.
And then, of course, they decelerate in a hurry coming in here. Gear down to second. Ricky Rudd made a good entrance into this turn, heading off Dale Earnhardt, following in his groove down into turn 8. Looks like everybody's going to, front portion of the cars are going to get through here okay.
Ricky Rudd is going to lead him off corner number 10. In second position is Dale Earnhardt. Third place, Rusty Wallace, and Terry Labonte, who started in second, has fallen back to fourth, followed by Tom Kendall. Then comes Michael Waltrip. Here they come into turn number 11. We're going to see a lot of action in this area of the racetrack. There always has been in previous races. Now coming out onto the front stretch and completing lap number 1. Ricky Rudd leads Dale Earnhardt, Wallace, Labonte, Kendall, Michael Waltrip, Alan Kowicki, Ken Schrader, Darrell Waltrip, and Lake Speed as they head uphill toward you, Benny.
Bob, they're coming up the corner. There goes Darrell Waltrip, Kenny Schrader. I tell you what, these cars are coming by me. Looks like they're running 150 miles an hour, although I realize it's probably only 80 or 90 miles per hour.
With about a 6 or 7 car length advantage as they head to turn number 5. And here's a car on pit road already. That's Bobby Hamilton in the Country Time Machine. He has brought the Oldsmobile in for a pit stop on the very first lap. Looks like they're changing the left side rubber on that car. Meanwhile, a battle for second position. Here's Rusty Wallace trying to take over the position. Ned, is he going to do it?
Well, I don't know. Earnhardt has the inside groove coming into the turn, Bob. He'll have the outside going out, and he takes advantage of that inside groove and holds on to second.
Now let's see what Rusty can do as they move through the S's. We saw a lot of passing in this area yesterday during the Southwest Tour race, but Wallace right now drops back a little bit, about 4 car lengths behind Earnhardt, as we have the shot now from Tom Kendall's car as he runs in 5th place. There's the telemetry. Notice the speed going up now, all the way above 100 miles an hour, and then slowing down quickly and on the brake hard, off the accelerator completely. The RPMs are decreasing. He's in second gear now, bringing the car off the corner. Look at the accelerator go way up at the top as he stands on it, shifting to third now. Tom Kendall in substitution for Kyle Petty.
Bobby's giving himself a little bit of running room there, not taking any chances of getting up there too close on Labonte right now. By the way, Bobby Hamilton is back out on the track, apparently still in the lead lap, but far behind the leaders.
And the number 73 car in the pits. Here's Rudd and Earnhardt and Wallace, then Labonte and Kendall. Terry Labonte not led a lap in Winston Cup competition since Talladega in May of 1990 and had hopes of perhaps grabbing the lead at the start of this race, but instead of moving up, he has dropped back to 4th position after his second start.
Here comes Rudd into turn 7 once again. He uses the same pattern every time. There's smoke going into turn 4 or 5 over there around Benny Parsons' area, and the car off course.
Looks like it could be R.K. Smith. R.K. Smith has gotten that car way up on the banking. You can see steam and smoke pouring from that car. We don't see any movement inside. One of the corner workers and the safety officials has arrived on the scene, and he will notify the ambulance and the other safety workers to come to the rescue. But as you can see, R.K.'s car is up on an angle, and obviously he had a wild ride. Here it is.
It hits that banking and throws up a lot of dirt and a lot of grass. Fortunately, it didn't flip over for him, Bob. Even though it's sitting on the side of that bank, but it did remain on the wheels.
The yellow flag is out. We are going to have our first full course caution of the afternoon. R.K. Smith in his first Winston Cup race gets off course and goes up on the banking. It appears as if he may be okay. We will have further word on that in just a moment. Here are the top 10 in the early stages of the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 from Sears Point International. Around the world throughout the years, Speed World brings you over 1 million miles of award-winning coverage. Today in Sonoma, California, Sears Point International Raceway and the Banquet Frozen Foods 300. Thousands of race fans have gathered here at this beautiful facility in Northern California, located about 45 miles north of San Francisco in the Sonoma Napa Valleys. The pace car is on the racetrack right now because of a crash that we had on lap number 2 involving R.K. Smith. So Ricky Rudd is lined up behind the pace car. Next is Dale Earnhardt, then Rusty Wallace and Terry Labonte and Tom Kendall. Michael Waltrip, there's Alan Kowicki and Ken Schrader. Darrell Waltrip, Lake Speed. There's the 97 car of Jeff Bodine, Ernie Irvan, Mark Martin, who crashed here, as Benny said, in practice earlier this week. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch, working on pit road. Jerry?
Well, Bob, it's a little bit unusual out here in California. Of course, things are a little different out here on the West Coast. And interestingly enough, when you're standing in the pits normally in a Winston Cup race and the cars come by as they are now, you'll see all the crews facing the track. But in the first few laps here, everyone has been facing away from the track. And the reason is, let me show you. Right behind the pits here is a large screen, as I'm pointing to, and you see our cameraman, Corky Corcoran, a large television screen that is taking our ESPN feed. So the fans in the grandstands and the crew members have the luxury of watching their cars run every lap around the racetrack. That large Diamond Vision screen has got a lot of attention, so all the crews up and down pit road have been facing away from the track and watching television. John?
Jerry, we're down here in Sterling Marlin's pit. He's brought it in. He's got a brake problem. They are working inside. What they think the problem is that the spring on the brake pedal that goes in has broken, so he doesn't have any spring return on that. So they're working furiously inside. The fortunate thing is it takes so long for the cars to get around the track, so they hope to have it fixed and get him back on the track before losing the lap. But he does have the car shut off right now, and they are still working.
Yeah, that is one nice thing about this long road course. You can make a long pit stop and really not lose that much time. So we are under caution now as the crew works on Sterling Marlin's car, and they get R.K. Smith's car off the racetrack. We'll be right back. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by Autolite Spark Plugs, guaranteed for 2 years, no matter how far you go. The Banquet Frozen Foods 300 1990, Ricky Rudd led the field to green after setting a new track qualifying record. Early racing saw Rudd challenged by Ernie Irvan, who had started second, and third-place starter Dale Earnhardt. It wasn't long, though, before Rusty Wallace, who had begun from the 11th starting position, charged to the front. Wallace had won on the road course at Watkins Glen in '89, losing to Rudd here at Sears Point. Dale Earnhardt suffered transmission problems. 9 laps were spent in the pits, but Dale completed the race in a disappointing 34th position. The race came down to a battle between the road course specialists again, Rudd and Wallace. Rusty took the lead for the final time, 14 laps from the finish. The event ended under caution, with Rusty making it 2 out of 3 wins in 1990. Mark Martin finished in second, and Rudd was third. That's the way it was a year ago here at Sears Point. Right now, we are under caution for the first time this afternoon because of a crash up in the turn 5 area involving R.K. Smith. However, we have just noticed that that car has not been taken back to the pit area on the hook. It was pushed back, and I have a feeling that R.K. Smith could go back into action. Here's the roof cam on Dale Jarrett's car, giving us some great pictures of this 2.5-mile road course. And our other in-car camera this afternoon, besides Dale Jarrett's here and Tom Kendall's, is the Phillips 66 in-car camera carried by Lake Speed, who had a great qualifying performance here this afternoon in the weekend, qualifying for 9th position at 89.745 miles an hour. Coming toward you again, Ned, and next time this should be full-speed racing when they get your way.
Everybody, I think, is ready for it. They begin to weave the cars back and forth across the track here on this straightaway coming into turn 7 to get those tires seated in. Ricky Rudd ready to make the charge once again. But I'll tell you, I've been impressed with Earnhardt. You know, a lot of people have not given him a lot of credit for being a road racer, but He won the pole at Watkins Glen, you know, once before, and also has been running very good here today. He's keeping the pressure on Ricky Rudd, so don't count that fella out.
Yeah, you're right. You know, he did have that bad finish that we just talked about last year when the transmission on the car went out and finished 34th. But he has a very impressive record on road courses. As a matter of fact, when you average all of his finishes since 1987, he ranks 3rd behind Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd. So Earnhardt is a very good road racing driver. He finished 7th last year at Watkins Glen, the other road course race that these drivers compete in.
Bob, I mentioned to Richard Childers, where did you get this road racer from since Earnhardt qualified 3rd? He said he's always been a road racer. We have finally been able to get him a car that will show his true road racing talents.
He's right behind Ricky Rudd as we get set to go back to green. By the way, the number 09 car of R.K. Smith is going to be out of the race, but not necessarily because of the damage that suffered in the crash, but because the engine has expired on that race car. The pace car will go straight down what is normally the drag strip here, leaving the field in charge by Ricky Rudd. And here they come off the 11th corner and on to the start-finish line. Lap number 7, the green comes back out. We're racing again. Riding with Tom Kendall in 5th position. He's right behind Terry Labonte. There's our ground cam once again. Look how the right front of some of the cars lifts off the ground as it goes through this area of the track.
Bob, this is certainly one of the most challenging road courses they run on. Uphill and downhill. Of course, you have the right-hand and left-hand turns. Now as Ricky Rudd heads into turn 7. Got himself a little bit of a lead this time coming in here, but Earnhardt breaks a little bit. Here's Rusty Wallace trying to move up on the outside, but that's not the smart thing to do right now. So Earnhardt had the preferred position coming in there.
And remember just a couple of years ago when Rusty Wallace tried to take the lead with that move over Ricky Rudd with just a few laps to go in the Banquet Frozen Food 300K.
Rudd stretches out the advantage over Earnhardt, who has his mirror full of Rusty Wallace. There's Kendall in 5th, followed by Michael Waltrip in the Pennzoil bright yellow car. Into turn number 11 once again. Gearing down.
Of course, they're down in 2nd gear there. That's the slowest point on the racetrack, but one of the slipperiest points on the racetrack, too.
And there's a surprisingly large amount of passing that goes on in that turn if you do it just right. There's Alan Kulwicki, who has come into the pits with a flat. John?
Well, Bob, a lot of cars get off course here and they will kick things up on the track, and what happens is you run over a pebble, a stone or something, and you develop a flat tire. That is apparently what has happened to Alan Kulwicki. He has come in complaining of a flat tire. They will change all 4, so they weren't quite sure which one was flat. The work is finished around the right side. The Hooters crew going to work on the left side. Once again, Alan aided here in the fact that it takes so long for the other cars to get around the track, and Alan is down in the way, still on the lead lap, but way, way back.
It is pretty easy to cut a tire down here by simply getting off course just a little bit. You'll remember last year when Ricky Rudd wound up 3rd. Oh, a battle for 2nd position.
Well, trying it again on the outside. He tried to outbrake Earnhardt coming into the turn, but again, Earnhardt has the preferred groove going into the turn. He'll slip Wallace up a little high, but it gives him enough room that Wallace makes the pass.
Great pass by Rusty Wallace as he takes 2nd position, and now he sets his sights on Ricky Rudd. I mentioned how easy it is to cut a tire. Last year, Rudd had 5 flats, but still finished in 3rd position. Here's the telemetry. Now watch the speed decrease as he heads for that 2nd gear corner. All the way down to the 40s, 30, 33, 33, 30, 30 miles an hour, about the slowest, and then back hard on the accelerator.
Bob, I'm sure there are a lot of fans out there thinking, well, heck, if they're only going 30 miles an hour, I could do that. But I'll tell you, it's a little harder than it looks.
Yeah, it's the 120 or 25 or 30 miles an hour that you go on the other portions of the course that would worry me. bumper cam from Lake Speed's car. Looking back on Ernie Irvan.
Boy, Irvan getting up there close.
Looks like Talladega.
Yeah.
Oh, look how close he gets.
I think he got too close that time, Bob.
Lake Speed is running 9th, and Irvan is in 10th. Jeff Bodine is right behind Ernie. See if Irvan can make the pass here. Or he sure would like to. They're coming off the straightaway, headed toward you, Ned.
And it goes up on the outside, just like Rusty Wallace did on Dale Earnhardt. Let's see if he can make it stick. Let's see if he can stay up there, but he couldn't quite do it coming off the turn. If he could stay deep with him coming off the turn, then he would have been okay. Just couldn't quite do it.
Coming through those S's, still looking for the opportunity to pass, headed for turn number 10 now. This is the Phillips 66 bumper cam in this case, looking back on Ernie Irvan. Now here they are, headed for turn number 11 again.
Boy, he's all over it, isn't he?
He is. He is really pressuring Lake Speed.
Lake, of course, a former go-kart racer. And it seems that most of those guys who did race go-karts, here Ernie might have a chance. Nope, the door is closed on him. But it seems those that race go-karts make good road racers.
Boy, Ernie is just all over Lake Speed. Like he got the right side tires up on that curbing, using every inch of racetrack.
Very difficult place for Ernie to make a pass now, Bob.
But you know, when you're running that close, Benny, on another car, now he dips down on the inside. Let's see if he can make that stick. He might have it this time. But when you're running as close as he has been running to Lake Speed, sometimes you can't see those ripple strips. You just sort of drive where you think everything is.
Unfortunately, most of the times you miss those ripple strips.
Now we see Rusty Wallace right on the back bumper of Ricky Rudd.
And they pulled away from Dale Earnhardt, and he has his hands full of Terry Labonte and Tommy Kendall.
Kendall looked like he had an opportunity, or at least thought about passing Terry Labonte.
Ernie Irvan's going to get the best of Lake Speed. Speed locked the brakes up coming into 7 on his car, and that's all Ernie Irvan needed. He needed just a little bit of a brake there, and he got it.
So Ernie Irvan will move to 9th, and Lake Speed goes back to 10th. And here is that pass you mentioned, Ned.
You can see the smoke as he came into the turn. Lake Speed locked the brakes on the car, trying to out-brake Ernie going in there. Ernie up on the outside, and did, of course, go ahead and make the pass.
There's Rusty Wallace, who is in 2nd position behind Ricky Rudd.
And, Bob, those two fellows have kind of driven away from that race for 3rd spot.
Why is it that these two guys have been so dominant in road course racing here in the past few years? I mean, when you think of a road course, you can't help but think of Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd.
Bob, these two fellows have worked at this harder than most other teams. Both these teams came out here testing, spent a couple of days out trying different things, springs, shocks, the weight shifted around in the car. A luxury that most teams simply don't take advantage of. They have the advantage to do it, but they choose not to because maybe the drivers don't prefer the road course like these two fellows. Just love the road courses. And you can see Rusty Wallace really is living it right now because he's about to overtake Ricky Rudd.
10 laps have been completed here in the 74-lap Banquet Frozen Foods 300. And now, up ahead of Lake Speed, we can see Ernie Irvan challenging Ken Schrader.
And he has made the pass. They're coming into turn 7. Darrell Walker would be the next person up in front of him. So Irvan's sort of on the go now.
He sure is. Ernie Irvan is slicing through traffic. There's Mark Martin, who has been able to pass Lake Speed. Now Davey Allison is just behind Lake.
And Bob, that
Morgan Shepherd. Excuse me, Benny. Morgan Shepherd is really smoking the Motorcraft Ford. There's something wrong with it.
And we'll be back with more of our live coverage right after this. Welcome back to Sears Point. We have a new leader. It's Rusty Wallace, who was able to pass Ricky Rudd this lap, and Wallace has gone to the front of the field from his 4th starting position. Here's a replay of how it happened.
Well, Bob, they did it where we predicted that a lot of passing would go on, and that is coming into turn 7. Wallace got up on the outside, similar to the way he did with Dale Earnhardt a little bit earlier. Rudd gave him room out there, but boy, it is tough hanging out there. But once you get off of the turn, if you can stay out there, then you have clear sailing down into turn number 8.
And Rudd gave him lots of room to make the pass. Also on that lap, we had this little encounter between Jimmy Spencer and Derek Cope. This was in turn number 11. It was a minor spin. Both cars were able to get headed in the right direction and stay on the racetrack. So lots of action that lap, but the bottom line is that Rusty Wallace has taken the lead from Ricky Rudd, and they are separating themselves from the rest of the field. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, gentlemen, yesterday Rusty Wallace had a fuel pickup problem, and it was a very concerning problem. After they ran about 12 or 13 laps, the car would begin to sputter in left-hand turns. Now, climbing up the hill in turn 1 or coming down toward turn 9, a left-hand turn. He just came through turn 8. Now he makes a turn 9 and hits a turn 10. But the car would begin to sputter, so the crew went to work last night and this morning. They changed the fuel bladder, the fuel line, the fuel connectors, everything inside. They were very concerned about whether it would begin to sputter again today. Well, they're past the 10-lap mark, and they're holding their breath. Bob?
It has worked. He has taken the lead and now separating himself just a little bit from Ricky Rudd. Here's Darrell Waltrip and Ernie Irvan involved in a battle. Ernie has really shown some muscle here in the early going. His car is obviously working very well, going to the inside and passing Darrell Waltrip. That number 6 car is Mark Martin, of course.
And Bob, that number 6 car, Mark Martin's car, is the car that he used at Martinsville. It is an oval track car. An oval track car, not a true road race car, as I mentioned at the top of the show. He used up his road race car, had to go to the short track car, and I told him, if you win the race in this thing, everyone is going to have to rethink their thinking when it comes to road racing.
Yeah, Mark was so confident going into this race, he thought that he had the pole position for this thing locked up before the crash. There's Morgan Shepherd in the pits. We told you earlier that there was a lot of smoke seen from this car a couple of laps ago. Well, Morgan has brought it in. Now you can see that he was a 6th place finisher at Watkins Glen, so he too has performed well under certain conditions on road courses, changing all 4 tires on that number 15 Motorcraft Ford, prepared by Bud Moore and the group.
Bob, there's another car out on the track that's smoking. We saw him a little bit earlier in that skirmish down there in turn 11. Jimmy Spencer, a lot of smoke coming from his car as well, but Morgan had been smoking for about 4 or 5 laps, so they pulled him in to see if they could find out what the problem was.
That could be some sheet metal rubbing on the tire from that little incident he had with Derek Cope down here in turn number 11. Well, these two guys have continued to run pretty close together since the drop of the green flag. The Sunoco car ahead is Terry Labonte. We're riding with Tom Kendall in the mellow yellow Pontiac as he substitutes for Kyle Petty. And Tommy's going to take it to the inside in turn number 11, and he is going to pass Terry Labonte.
Bob, that was a classic road racing move, out breaking the fella going down in the slow corner. And Kendall, with his road racing experience, we're probably going to see much more of that today.
Well, the Trans Am champion, of course, has a lot of experience on road courses, and that's one of the reasons why he was chosen to replace Kyle Petty on this particular venue. Tom Kendall with a great future in racing. He's a youngster, just graduated from UCLA recently, but he has a bright future in auto racing if he wants to stay with it.
I asked him what his degree was from at UCLA. He said economics. I said, what do you do with that? He said, figure out how to spend my money.
Dale Earnhardt is 3rd. There's Kendall in 4th. Then Labonte and Michael Waltrip.
You got to be impressed with him, Bob. He's having a very good run here today, Michael Waltrip. He has raced all the road courses, of course, since he came into the Western Cup Series, but doesn't have nearly as much experience as most of those drivers in front of him.
Well, he started this race in 8th position, and Michael did record a very impressive 4th place finish at Watkins Glen last year. So, yeah, he also shows a lot of road racing ability.
If Michael Waltrip was to finish the top 5 tomorrow, and someone did not know it, didn't read the paper, and said, who finished 5th? He said, Waltrip. 75% of people would guess they hit Darrell.
He's looking for his first Winston Cup win. Sat on the pole last week at Dover. Had problems in the early going, then had a crash. It's a long afternoon for him. Here's Kenny Schrader moving to the inside of Darrell Waltrip. As a matter of fact, Waltrip is going to lose a couple of positions, one to Ken Schrader and the other to Davey Allison, as he took the high line there in turn number 11 and let the other two cars drive below him.
Once he got out in that line, he didn't resist him, Bob. He saw that Davey was real close on Kenny Schrader, and he said there's no point in taking a chance right now.
Now Allison really breathing down the neck of Schrader as they head uphill into turn number 3.
That's another fellow, Bob, that's not known for his road racing abilities. Either of these fellows, both Schrader and Davey Allison, but both of them doing a great job today. Davey taking a look on the inside, not able to make the pass.
And Derek Cope has crashed. He's taken that Chevrolet into the tire barrier, and it is going to bring out a full course caution. I think it may have been a little premature because, as you can see, Derek has that car going, but in any case, the NASCAR officials have decided to throw the overall yellow, and Derek Cope heads for the pits. That was at turn number 10, just before the pit entrance.
Might be a break for some drivers, Bob. We understand that maybe Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt had some tires going down, so we might see them coming into the pits.
And Derek Cope has taken his car behind the wall. There you can see Darrell Waltrip just ahead of Lake Speed, and we will watch. See if Darrell Waltrip does bring his Western Auto car into the pit area. You can see the corner workers waving their yellow flags, indicating that we do have a full course caution. This is the second one of the afternoon. The first was from R.K. Smith's venture off the track, and now one for Derek Cope. Earnhardt stayed out on the track. The pits right now are closed as the pace car has not yet picked up the field. So the yellow does remain out at this point. We will take another break and be back to see if Earnhardt and Waltrip go into the pit area for tire changes when we come back to Sears Point.
The way I work, I sure appreciate my new Suzuki King quad. It's great for fishing, too. Caught 9 bass last week. It hauled all the wood to build Martha's chicken coop. It took me hunting, spent all day shooting geese.
Check out the new King Quad ATV at your Suzuki dealer now.
You plowing tomorrow, Wayne?
Yep.
Don't forget your fishing gear.
Suzuki recommends all riders take a training course. In fact, it's on us. See your dealer for details.
$2.29 for a pot pie? There must be some mistake. And duck à l'orange. For my kids? There must be some mistake. I said, where's the manager? He says he is. There must be some mistake.
Today's banquet is for families like yours. Good food at the right price. And varieties the whole family will enjoy.
I'm sticking with Banquet. And that's no mistake.
Today's banquet. Good food that's right on the money.
To demonstrate the superior color of new Kodak Gold 400 film, just open a box. It has the richest, most vivid color available in a high-speed film. New Kodak Gold 400. Fast film. True colors.
Back at Sears Point International Raceway, Winston Cup Road Racing on this Sunday afternoon. Tom Kendall is under caution, as is the rest of the field. Dale Jarrett also taking the opportunity to relax a little bit under the caution. Jerry Punch on pit road has the story of Morgan Shepherd's afternoon.
Well, Bob, the first Winston Cup regular to actually get out of the garage area or get into the garage area is Morgan Shepherd. They have brought his motorcraft Ford back into the back part of the garage with a smoking problem. We found out that possibly the rear transmission seal has been leaking on the car. They brought it in. They're going to change the transmission and possibly get Morgan Shepherd back out. Meanwhile, under caution, we should see some pit stops.
We are seeing a lot of pit stop as just about everyone has decided to come in. We don't see a single car that is remaining on the racetrack at this point. Now, the entrance speed for these cars down pit road is 25 miles an hour. This, of course, in conjunction with the pit rules that NASCAR has instituted. A very slow procedure down pit road. Now some of them begin to arrive at their pit areas. And let's go to Jerry Punch.
Well, all the leaders in the pits, of course, Bob, Ricky Rudd getting service. We would expect to see all 4 tires changed and filling up with fuel. This is a very important pit stop. A lot of concern as Earnhardt's car now gets by. He will exit pit road. Back on Ricky Rudd, you see all the crews here working. Is Kenny Schrader having a difficult time getting his car in the pits. A little trouble with the left rear on Ricky Rudd's car. He is down and away. And likewise, the pits are so close here that Harry Labonte has gotten boxed in, and now he's able to move, but he tags a tire that had rolled away from the car number 6. Really tight quarters here in the pits as they make their first stop under caution. Rob?
Boy, the quarters are very tight down there, Jerry, but all the drivers being very heads up and being very careful. We didn't see any incidents on pit road. As a matter of fact, everybody got in and out very cleanly as they continue to file out of the pit area. Here comes Hut Strickland and Harry Gant out. Bobby Hillen, number 52. Herschel McGriff in the 04 car. Richard Petty pulls out of his assigned pit area along with Rick Mast in number 1. So under caution, a lot of pit stop activity occurring here at Sears Point. Once again, here's how to enter the Right Guard Halfway Challenge Sweepstakes. Call 1-900-737-1100 before the halfway lap. Then stay tuned to see which driver wins the $10,000 award. If your entry is selected and you are called at home, you will win a Pontiac Grand Prix SE if you can name the driver who won the Right Guard Halfway Challenge. We're glad you could join us on this Sunday afternoon from Sonoma, California. Back after this.
Lamp Factory Outlet, saving you money at the same location for over 17 years. We save you money because our factory is on the premises. 30 to 70% savings every day. All types of lamps, brass, crystal, oriental, and ceramic type. We offer basic lamp repair as well as custom replacement shades. Why pay retail prices when you can save 30 to 70% every day at Lamp Factory Outlet, 35 Church Street, Canton.
Don't get caught without your seatbelt on, 'cause if you do, you get the summertime blues. You better watch it now.
Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, Dr. Jerry Punch back at Sears Point. Here are the top 10 after 17 laps. John Krebs leads in number 99. He did not make a pit stop. Jimmy Spencer is second in number 98. Rusty Wallace runs third. Ricky Rudd is fourth, and Dale Earnhardt is fifth. 6 through 10, Tommy Kendall, Michael Waltrip, Terry Labonte, Ernie Irvin, and Mark Martin. The top 10 after 17 laps. Here comes the green flag, and we are back to racing. There are the two that were shown in first and second position that have chose to make a pit stop right now as the green flag comes out. The number 91 car, they're going wide. That's Robert Sprague, driver that started in last position, letting the faster cars pass by the 00 car driven by Scott Gaylord as Ricky Rudd runs alongside him. Here comes Earnhardt and Kendall. Watching from Tom Kendall's in-car camera.
See, there's a lot of steering wheel movement on this racetrack.
That's exactly what I was thinking, Ned, how busy Kendall is. He's probably never been this busy in a race car in his life.
They go downhill now. Here's turn number 6 and on to the straightaway. There's the foot cam. You can see him hard on the accelerator, now hard onto the brake, trying to take over the position at turn 7.
Yeah, he's trying to go on the outside of Dale Earnhardt. We've seen that pass made a couple of times, but Tommy Kendall couldn't make it that time.
Tommy Kendall said, hey, I saw those guys do that before. How come it didn't work for me?
The foot cam once again.
Notice he's not using the clutch, just braking with his left foot. They're braking with the left foot, shifting gears all this while never touching the clutch.
And Jericho transmissions will allow them to do that.
We saw when the right foot goes, that's shifting gears.
Now watch him. He's going to slow down here. It was about 30 miles an hour. Only got down to 31 that time for turn number 11. And he'll be hard on the accelerator now for a while here until he gets up to turn number 1, where he might touch the brake slightly. Up through the gears into second, now into third.
Moses right in on Earnhardt up at the top of the hill in turn 2.
Boy, he sure is. It looks like he wants that position real bad.
Yeah, I think Earnhardt's holding you up a little bit and just get an opportunity to move around. He'll try him again, I'll bet, on the outside going into turn 7.
Right behind me in turn 6, going down through what they call a carousel. This is turn 6. Go around this corner and head back up straightaway to mid-Jerry.
Well, here he comes up on his back bumper now. Now he pulls out, trying to make the pass. Now he brakes a little bit harder going into the turn. Earnhardt gives him room down there, but did he get in too fast? Kendall almost got into the turn too fast, but he might have made the pass this time, fellas. Yes, he did.
How about that? Tom Kendall with a very nice move in turn number 7, and now takes over the position from Dale Earnhardt as they swing through the S's. But Earnhardt would like very much to get that spot back. He's not letting Tom get ahead very far.
I thought the Kendalls got a little bit too excited with themselves and gotten wide, and Earnhardt was going to take the spot back, but he was not able to.
Bob, you got a smoker heading towards you, Hutch Strickland, and it looked like he had some sheet metal damage on the Ray Bestis Buick as well, but a good bit of smoke coming from his car as he comes out of turn 9.
We will watch for him. Meanwhile, there he is. Yeah, Hutch Strickland with a lot of smoke trailing that Ray Bestis Buick. He's going to take it into the pits. Hutch Strickland comes in.
You can see some damage on the right side of the car, so he's gotten into someone around as he makes this turn. You can see the damage there, too, the sheet metal.
Yeah, it's caved in pretty good there on the right side. They go to work on the left side of the car, and they're also going to take the pins out and raise the hood.
Yeah, they're checking on that smoke situation there now.
Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has an update on Rusty.
Well, Bob, earlier we mentioned they had the problem with the car sputtering yesterday. They figured it'd be a fuel pickup problem, and I mentioned they changed all the fuel systems from the bladder, the lines, everything this morning, and they were concerned. Well, Rusty told crew chief Jimmy Maycar a minute ago during the pit stop, and Maycar just told me that the car is sputtering again. It only happens on the fast, high-speed left-hand turns. Turn 1 and also turn 10 down behind the grandstands coming down the backstretch. So if you see Rusty making a pass, you'll have to do it on the right-hand turn. That's where he made the pass on Earnhardt and on Run up in turn 7 because the car does not sputter when he turns right.
Well, Rusty continues to maintain the lead, but if that car is sputtering on him, it means that Ricky Rudd might be able to close in on him. As we watch some action in the back, or in the middle of the pack, I should say, that's Jeff Bodine and Davey Allison. This is 10th, 11th, and 12th right here with Schrader, Bodine, and Davey Allison. There's Darrell Waltrip to the left. And here is Schrader and Bodine looking to the inside, trying to take the position away from Ken Schrader, and he's going to do it in the Budweiser Ford.
Made a good move there. Kept the car
like
straight while he had the brakes on hard. That's what you got to do. Once you start turning that steering wheel and heading into the turn, you don't want to hit on those brakes too heavy, and certainly don't want to lock them up.
Sore ribs don't appear to be giving Jeff Bodine any problem whatsoever.
Davey Allison and Ken Schrader have been racing together since the drop of the green flag, still bumper to bumper. And Allison still looks like he would be able to go on if he could just get by, but having trouble getting by.
Easier said than done. The 98 car, Jimmy Spencer, as you indicated earlier, Ned, is smoking, and we speculated that it could be some sheet metal running against the wheels because of his encounter with Cope, but I think it may amount to something more than that.
I think so. It's gotten worse. After he made that pit stop, we didn't see any smoke for a couple of laps, but now he is really putting it out. So yeah, I think it's something other than sheet metal running the car.
And he's going to be black flag. Here's Dale Jarrett and Lake Speed going at it.
Well, Dale's trying that outside move. Let's see if he can make that stick. Looks like he might be able to have the measure of coming off of turn 7. And
13th and 14th position being fought for there as Dale Jarrett passes Lake Speed and goes to 13th spot.
Double zero car Scott Gaylord, one of the Winston West drivers.
Phillips 66 in-car camera looking ahead to Dale Jarrett. There's the leader, Rusty Wallace, in the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac, closely pursued by Ricky Rudd. There's third place Tom Kendall. Fourth is Dale Earnhardt, and the yellow flag is out once again. The full course yellow flag is being displayed to the field. And the reason is oil on the racetrack, possibly from Jimmy Spencer that we saw just a few minutes ago. So our third full course caution of the afternoon waves over Sears Point International Raceway, with Rusty Wallace leading the Banquet Frozen Foods 300. Back after these messages.
Hey, have you registered to win the We Win, You Win $1 million sweepstakes at Western Auto? Well, go down today and register again, because we're number 3 in the Winston Cup point standings, and that means $250,000 cash to some lucky Western Auto customer. That's $250,000 if we finish third at the end of the year. But we're going to finish first, right, guys?
Yes!
And that will mean a lucky Western Auto customer will win $1 million. We win, you win, we both win at Western Auto.
In the last 5 years, one truck manufacturer has won more off-road races than anyone, including 4 class championships in 1990 and the mini and heavy metal championships. That truck manufacturer is Ford. And that kind of winning performance goes beyond the winner's circle.
Live, top-ranked boxing on ESPN. The place where fighters have stepped into the ring as unknown, made the right connection, and emerged as champions.
You gotta knock him off to win this, all right?
Junior Poison Jones puts his undefeated record on the line against Alejandro Sanabria. 2 world-rated bantamweight contenders battle head-to-head on Top Rank Boxing. Thursday night, live on ESPN.
Some of the finest wines in all the world are made from the grapes grown in this area, the Sonoma Valley of Northern California. Today, we're here for the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 Winston Cup race, and we're delighted you could join us on this Sunday afternoon here in the West Coast. Here, the top 10 after 22 laps is Rusty Wallace leading Ricky Rudd, Tom Kendall, Dale Earnhardt, and Michael Waldrop. The 6th position belongs to Terry Labonte. Ernie Irvin is 7th. 8th is Mark Martin. 9th is Darrell Waldrop. And in 10th position is Jeff Bodine, as we are under our 3rd full course caution of the afternoon because of oil on the racetrack, apparently put down by Jimmy Spencer. The pace car leads them down now through turn number 11 here. That's where you enter the pits. And Dale Earnhardt is going to come in for a pit stop. Earnhardt is in for an unscheduled stop. Let's go to John Kernan.
The Goodrich crew awaiting Dale's arrival. What they're going to do is go under the hood. We had talked about the smoke coming out of the car. Richard Childers says he hopes it's nothing more than just a loose oil fitting. They will change 4 tires while they do have him in. RC going under the hood, pulling out the last fit pin. They will look under, and hopefully they will just find that it is, for their part, it is just a loose fitting or something. They, of course, had transmission problems here last year, burned up the transmission when a pump broke. Now they will look around to the right side of the engine compartment, checking everything out. Apparently they haven't found anything yet. Kirk Shelberding going to work on the left side as he will pull some things off. Earnhardt sitting patiently in the car, but still no indication of what it might be, although I can see they are trying to tighten something up.
So Earnhardt remains on pit road. Now, early in the race, Tom Kendall was able to get around Dale Earnhardt right in front of you, Ned.
Coming into turn 7, he outbraked him coming in there, Bob. It looked like Kendall might have got in a little too fast, but the car stuck for him, and he was able to make the pass on the outside of Dale Earnhardt.
If you're just joining us here at Sears Point, Ned and Benny are out on course calling the action, and Jerry Punch and John Kernan on pit road. John?
What they say now, Bob, is the timing cover is leaking. They really cannot fix it. The only thing they can do is to go out on the racetrack and run and just hope the car will stay together. Now let's go down pit road to Jerry Punch.
Checking in on the Ricky Rudd pitch, John. We just learned that just a minute ago before the caution came out, Rudd had run Rusty Wallace down, was right on the rear deck and beginning to make a move down in turn 11. And they would like to see this race stay green. They figure the longer they run to the green, the better the Tide car gets. And they feel Rusty's car may tend to go away a little bit, but they may have a better shot if they can just keep some green flag laps under them. These caution laps hurt them. Bob?
All right, thank you, guys. Ricky Rudd, of course, second in the Winston Cup points. And he is noticing very carefully the problems that Dale Earnhardt is having here in the early going. Ricky was the winner this year at Darlington and has been very consistent in Winston Cup races this year. Now we'll kind of lock down our camera here and allow you to look for your favorite driver as he passes by. We are under caution.
Of course, there's Kendall running in the third position. Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Bodine, Ken Schrader, there's Dale Jarrett and Blake Speed. Joe Ruttman having a good run. See your favorite driver go through. You saw Alan Kowicki go through there. Now he's back in sequence now as far as pit stops are concerned, so he's back up in there. They went Harry Kent, Marcus, Bobby Hillen. Sounded like Hillen's car was running on about 7 cylinders a little while ago. There went Rick Mast by and Bobby Hamilton. Stanley Smith making a trip out west here. And there's Dale Earnhardt bringing up the rear right behind Dale, right behind Dave Marcus. Earnhardt, I'll tell you, he has a job cut out for him now to try to get back up towards the front.
36 cars lined up ahead of Dale Earnhardt here under caution as we are getting set for the restart of the Banquet Frozen Foods 300. Back in a moment.
The Suzuki GSX 1100G. Fly without excess baggage.
Escort owners talk about the new Ford Escort.
It's a whole new car. The only thing that didn't change is the Ford emblem.
Yeah, there is a night and day difference from the old Escort. That's the style grabbed me at first, and I got a whole lot of car for the money.
It's a good car for the money. I like it a lot. I look good in it.
The Escort's control is good, the handling's good, and the quality's great.
Have you driven a Ford lately?
I don't think I could have found a better value out there.
You know, for the smallest jobs to great American homes, the paint more people count on is Sears Weather Beater, guaranteed to last. No matter where you live, no matter what the weather. For the paint, for the craftsman tools, guaranteed to last. Count on Sears, the home of America's craftsmen.
And now, Weather Beater Flat Finish is on sale only $11.99 for the paint guaranteed to last. Get to Sears now.
Right through the toughest dirt around. Chase the grease and grind right out of town. When you have the toughest stain and it's giving you a pain, zip it off, zip it off.
The Suzuki Dual Sport 350S cleans up on any surface.
Wow.
Track facts are brought to you by Quaker State. The Big Q is one tough motor oil.
To even the most casual observer, the front grille sections appear quite different when comparing a Winston Cup Super Speedway and road course car. Now in the Super Speedway, where wind resistance is so critical, there are just 3 openings in the front grille. 2 for the radiator and 1 down in the left front for the oil cooler. Now contrast that with the 8 openings you'll see in the very front of a road course car. The same 2 for the radiator, but now the oil cooler opening has been moved to the right front. Remember, on the road course, they turn to the right quite a bit. This will catch a lot of air. But very importantly, the brake duct openings to keep those front brakes cool have been added. Left front and right front. And also the transmission takes a big beating gearing down so many times on a demanding road course. Transmission cooler is in the left front. A major difference between a road course and super speedway front end.
That's very true, Jerry. All the air going through the front end of these cars have a tendency to slow the car down. That's why on a super speedway they close all those opening up. But here at Sears Point Road Course, probably 130, 40 miles per hour is top speed, and the air going in to cool all the fluids is much more important than aerodynamics.
And guys, there are other changes that you got to make on these cars because they are turning right and left. Now, we've mentioned the fuel pickup problem that some of the cars have experienced here in the weekend. Let's go to John Kernan, who's with Richard Childress.
Richard, Dale back in, a little more work under the hood. What is the problem?
Well, right now it's blowing oil out the breather, and we don't know why. You know, it's just one of them deals.
Any way you could, I understand you checked around the timing belt cover. Wasn't a bolt backed out there or anything? Now he's talking with Dale on the radio. It was nothing you could find. At first I heard you guys speculating it might have been the timing belt cover.
Be a green flag start this time. Yeah, we thought it was a timing cover at first, but now it looks like it was just blowing it out the breather.
All I can do is ride around then.
Yeah, we're going to try to run a little harder, but not as hard as we were.
Well, you can tell by the sound of his voice that RC very disappointed this afternoon. Second year in a row that they've had trouble here at Sears Point.
Earnhardt bringing up the rear of the field as the rest of the field gets set to go back to green flag conditions. Here they come off the final corner. Oh, and a spin right here at the straightaway. Ernie Irvan Lopes is going to be able to keep going. I think several drivers maybe anticipated the green a little before they should have. And they got all stacked up, and it resulted in Ernie Irvan spinning, but he's okay.
And Bob, as they were getting the green flag, Dale Earnhardt was just coming through turn 7, so he's a good half a lap behind the leader.
He just now enters turn number 11 as the rest of the field goes up through turn number 4.
Here's a replay, and once again, I think you're exactly right. Some people just anticipated. Ernie gets bumped in the back and makes a 360, puts the thing in gear and drives away. You know, some people are lucky and some people aren't. Looks like this is Ernie Irvan's day.
He came so close to hitting that inside wall, but didn't, and everything appears to be okay on the race car. Meanwhile, as they head for turn number 7, it's still Rusty leading Ricky Rudd.
Yeah, he makes a good approach into this turn. Tommy Kendall now beginning to move up, put a little bit of pressure on him, Bob.
There are a lot of people that sincerely believe that Tom Kendall could win this race here this afternoon. We have talked about how good he is on road courses and his performance that he has seen in Winston Cup competition on road courses. And with this car underneath him, he is a real contender for a win. You see he's on the brakes. Now he's off the brakes as they go down this straightaway toward turn number 11.
This is in second gear. He just started accelerating off. The brake level when it comes into the turn, push one way up, but then accelerating again.
It definitely looks like Kendall is getting his what we call sea legs or whatever. He's taking it easy for the first 15, 20 laps. Now his car is feeling good, and he is going to be a threat to win this thing, Bob. You're right.
Running third right now. Fourth is Michael Waltrip. Fifth, Darrell Waltrip.
And Bob, that's exactly what Felix Sabates wants. He wants a victory out of Tom Kendall. You know, the Winner's Circle money award program that NASCAR has is worth about $250,000 a year. With Kyle Petty, his driver, being injured, they only have one victory. It's going to take 2 victories to get in the Winner's Circle. And that's exactly why Felix Sabates called Tom Kendall and said, we want you to drive at Sears Point and Watkins Glen because we need a victory.
Here they are back in turn 7. Rusty Wallace still leads them. Terry Labonte running in the 5th place. Darrell Waltrip is 6th. And here is Jeff Bodine trying to move around Darrell Waltrip but couldn't quite make the pass.
Labonte has gone around Waltrip and taken over that 5th spot. There's Bodine, Allison, Mark Martin, Ken Schrader, Joe Ruttman, Dale Jarrett, and Lake Speed as they come down. Mark Martin also able to pick up the position over Ken Schrader.
And I see that Davey Allison has finally been able to get by Schrader after he followed him for about 15 laps.
Look at this shot from Dale Jarrett's roof cam.
Boy, runs down on Ruttman going into the turn. Ruttman a good road racer, too. He had a lot of good experience at Riverside years ago.
You're right, Ned. As a matter of fact, again, when you average the finishing positions of the top drivers in road course competition over the past 4 years, you find that Joe Ruttman's is 5th on the list. So he is a good road racer. A lot of elevation change here. They're pointed downward.
Boy, you can see that there are fans everywhere. Everywhere that camera points, there are fans on these hills. Beautiful layout here.
Now here is the carousel area. Turn number 6 going downhill sharply right here. They are really standing on their nose and then accelerating hard going on to part of the drag strip. This is also where the California Nationals NHRA races are held. The drag strip is what those cars are running on right now. And the 19 car of Chad Little off course momentarily. He's okay though and running again.
You notice the Red Baron Frozen Pizza sponsor on Chad's car this week.
Oh! Well, he just came in there a little hard. He's coming up in our direction, but he's not going to quite get here.
Let's hope not.
So Chad Little coming up on the outside.
He made contact there with Mike Chase, didn't he, Ed?
Yes, he did. They did make contact. Of course, Chase has been able to go on away, but Chad now trying to get his car going.
What's the deal here, Ned? Was he maybe having some brake problems?
Well, I don't know. He just, it looks like he locked the brake up coming in there, made just a little bit of contact. You can see the smoke coming from the wheels as they were locked up, and of course it sent him out in the dirt. Mike Chase stayed down on the inside, never did really spin around. Then Chad Little is off and running now.
Well, we're getting closer to the halfway point to enter the Right Guard Halfway Challenge Sweepstakes. All you have to do, as we see some smoke coming from that number 19 car, call 1-900-737-1100 before the halfway lap, and that will be lap number 37. If you are called back during today's race, you can name the driver who has won the Right Guard Halfway Challenge, and you'll win a new Pontiac Grand Prix SE. The Right Guard Halfway Challenge is at lap number 37, and right now we are on lap number 28. So 9 more laps to go, and we'll reach the halfway point. As you can see, at the moment, Rusty Wallace has a rather comfortable lead on Ricky Rudd and Tom Kendall. As the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 continues live on ESPN from Sears Point International.
Brett Bodine, one tough driver, talks about Quaker State, one tough motor oil.
At North Wilkesboro, that Carolina asphalt was hot enough to fry our King Racing Buick. Our engine was running hot, 240 degrees, and I had to keep pushing it over 8,000 RPM. Now that's when you start worrying about your oil's viscosity breaking down. But when the going got tough, the same Quaker State you can buy right off the shelf was tough enough to get me to the finish line first.
Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
It has armor. He has armor. It is cunning. He is more cunning. You've met the disease, roaches. Now meet the cure. The Orkin Man, armed with one of the most sophisticated pest control systems in the world. He zeroes in on roaches and other pests, destroys them, and prevents their return, guaranteed. The Orkin Man. One call destroys them all.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the world's best-selling line of high-performance street tires, Goodyear Eagle Street Radials. The champions know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
This is where America gets together. Every weekend throughout America, there is great NASCAR racing.
I wouldn't be anywhere else.
After 29 of 74 laps in the Banquet Frozen Food 300K race at Sears Point International, it's Rusty Wallace, Ricky Rudd, Tom Kendall, Michael Waltrip, and Terry Labonte. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Goodyear, the unanimous choice of every NASCAR Winston Cup team. By Ace, Ace is the place with a helpful hardware man. And by Midas, for mufflers, brakes, and shocks, nobody beats Midas. Nobody. Right now, nobody is beating Rusty Wallace as he leads the Banquet Frozen Food 300 while we were away on break. Ernie Irvin had another problem.
And it was right here in turn 7, Bob. Looks like he and Herschel McGriff might have touched a little bit. And Ernie just going all around, right in front of a bunch of traffic coming up on him. But everybody missed him, and he got her squared away, but he lost a lot of time.
Never saw Richard Petty go by Ernie Irvin. Well, he came around to turn 1 where I'm located, Ned. He came around turn 1 and didn't turn. I don't know what happened. He went straight through the dirt, over through turn 2, back on the course. But I don't know if he lost his brakes or just got the car out of shape. Getting in turn 1, was not able to go, not able to make the turn.
There's Mark Martin trying to move around Jeff Bodine coming into turn 7 up on the outside, and he does make the pass.
Jeff Bodine has moved up nicely, and now he and Mark Martin involved in quite a battle. There is Darrell Waltrip in number 17. He has lost a lot of positions in the last few laps. John Kernan can tell us why.
Bob, it could be a problem with this, a fuel pump. Darrell has radioed into Jeff Hammond and told him he's got about 3 pounds of pressure on his gauge. Now, Jeff says they like to have about 6. That's about half as much. They've told Darrell just to ride it out, take it easy. They will get a chance to work on it at the next round of pit stops. But they've got things like this fuel pump and a bunch of tools and other fittings sitting across behind me, ready just in case something does happen and they have to bring Darrell in for a quick change.
Darrell Waltrip, the winner at North Wilkesboro, finds himself 3rd in the Winston Cup points coming into this race, and you can see he continues to lose positions as Sterling Marlin, Alan Kowicki, and now Rick Wilson move around Darrell Waltrip. Waltrip 142 points behind the leader, Dale Earnhardt. And by the way, for those of you just joining us, Dale Earnhardt has had another problem here at Sears Point, similar to the one he had last year, as he has dropped way back in the field and is struggling with the number 3 car. And here is number 43, Richard Petty on pit road. Jerry? I'm sorry, Benny.
Bob, that's the result of him going through the dirt up here in turn 2. As I said, he went off turn 1 straight through the dirt, and at about 100 miles per hour across a bumpy dirt road is no place to be, especially with these cars as low as they are. You can see him up there trying to put the brake ducts and things back on there. Jerry Punch may be there to update us. Jerry?
Well, Benny, that's what they're doing. Actually, Richard, when he got off course, a little off-road racing up there, they had the front end out of line, and so they're checking the toe in on the front of the car. They have the hood up on the STP Pontiac, and now they will jack the car up to make sure that the car's front end was towed in correctly. They will change those right side tires, but he's lost a lot of valuable time as the leaders now coming out of turn 11. Rusty Wallace leading Ricky Rudd by about 8 or 10 car lengths as they come by. Tommy Kendall about 7 car lengths behind Rudd as they head for turn 1. Bob?
Rudd running 2nd in the tied Chevrolet. Not at the moment able to keep up with Rusty Wallace. These first 5 have sort of put some distance between themselves. Back here appears to be the best battle. That's Mark Martin, Terry Labonte, and Jeff Bodine. And here's some good racing also with Schrader, Rutman, and Jarrett.
They've moved up on Schrader in the last 2 or 3 laps. Rutman has. Jarrett following him through, but they haven't been able to do anything with him. Coming through turn 7, Schrader's car is not getting through it too good. Just watching as he goes through these other turns, looks like he's doing pretty well, though.
This is down in turn 6, the carousel over the hill. And you've got to be careful. These fellows are not on the gas as they go across the top of that hill, because if they do try to go across that hill too hard into the bank and the tires. And here they're coming towards Ned Jarrett, turn 7.
Now you see Schrader slowing down a little bit more than the others coming into this turn. Rutman had a notion to try to move up on the outside. Now Jarrett's been coming in wide and coming off low off of that turn. It's been working pretty good for him because he's getting good traction coming off the turn. And Sterling Marlin is doing a little bit of off-road racing. Comes out behind Darrell Waltrip, Maxwell House Ford.
Sterling Marlin off course, but gets it back on. Loses a few positions.
So, and at least there's no smoke coming from this car.
I don't think he hit anything, Benny. He just got off the track and onto some dirt and spun around and got her back under control and took off.
And the car right behind Sterling Marlin is Mickey Gibbs, number 24. Gibbs moving to the inside and passing Sterling Marlin in turn number 11. The leader is Rusty Wallace. And there he is. In the Miller Genuine Draft Pontiac, running in second position is Rusty Wallace, and third is Tom Kendall. We're just a few laps away from the halfway point of this 300-kilometer event in Sonoma, California.
Tyson Furniture invites you to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the historic James River Collection by Hickory Chair. Classic 18th century furnishings from the famous plantations of Virginia. Enduring quality, timeless elegance, always in style. Register to win one of 10 national grand prizes valued to $2,000. 40 other prizes will also be given away. History was never more affordable. Come to Tyson's in Black Mountain and get special 50th anniversary savings.
I'd be a little nervous about a used car. My husband had a used car in law school. I had to buy him a transmission for Christmas one year.
Now there's an alternative. Smart cars. Come see why cars with high mileage and suspect condition aren't the only solution to new car prices and new car depreciation. Now isn't it time you got really smart?
Only available at Anton, your exclusive smart car dealer on I-40 at the Canton exit.
The Blue Jays are locked in battle for first place, led by the bat of Joe Carter. Cal Ripken Jr. is putting up Triple Crown numbers for the Orioles. The Blue Jays meet the Orioles live on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
Rusty Wallace leads the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 Winston Cup race on the road course at Sears Point International Raceway in Sonoma, California. Second position is Ricky Rudd, and there is the interval between first and second. And here comes third place, Tom Kendall in the yellow Pontiac.
And Bob, there's a fellow that's on the move now, I believe, has moved into fourth place, and that's Mark Martin. He has come from pretty far back in the pack and has moved into fourth place. Just a lap ago, he moved around Michael Walker.
Here comes Mark. Yes, indeed, Ned. He could have one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now. He's all the way up to fourth, having passed Michael Waltrip just moments ago.
Yeah, I think he's gaining on Rusty Wallace.
There's a little bit of a wrinkle there in the front end, isn't there, Ned?
Yes, there is. He has bumped somewhat on his charge up towards the front, but it doesn't seem to affect the handling qualities of the Ford.
This is unbelievable. This is, as I said earlier, the Martinsville car, a half-mile car that they just simply took everything and moved over to the right side, the oil cooler, like Jerry Bunch was talking about it. The track pack is now on the right side. All the coolers are on the right side, but yet this is basically a short track car, and probably 90% of the rest of the cars in the field are built to be road racing cars.
Now, Benny, back when I was driving race cars and we were running road courses at Riverside and Watkins Glen and Allen Bridge Hampton, we used a short track car, but we didn't have the luxury of having a special car for the road races, but the one that we chose was a short track car because the road courses do have so many short track characteristics.
That's exactly right, Ned. Back when I was used to run Riverside, that's what we did. We would take a short track car, just move everything over to the right. It's only in the past 5 or 6 years that all the fellas started using true road race cars. Ricky Rudd, Rusty Wallace having so much success with them that everyone else said, hey, we got to do the same thing.
And, you know, this car's been a pretty good one for him, you know, for Mark Martin. Not only is this is their short track car, this is the car they won with last year at Richmond. Also the car that made that final pit stop at Wilkesboro on our ESPN coverage and came back and beat Dale Earnhardt and won with at Wilkesboro. And this car set on the pole this year at Martinsville. So a pretty good race car, even though it's not really geared to run right and left.
Mark Martin was the second place finisher last year, and at Watkins Glen last year, Mark Martin was fifth.
I'll tell you, he is really getting into turn 7 here, Bobby. Take that high line, similar to what Dale Jarrett has been taking, and then dips to the inside coming off, which gives him a tremendous amount of traction, which shoots him down towards turn 8 and on into 7, one of the high-speed parts of the racetrack.
Now that damage there on the front end of the car, we believe, was caused by when he hit Ernie Irvin on the restart a few laps ago. There's Kendall, third place, car 42. And here's the telemetry at work.
This is going down in turn 11, braking hard. As we've seen before, he's down to 29 miles per hour. Getting a little bit slower as the tires as they wear and get hotter. Now accelerating up through the gears. Now he's heading up towards me in turn 1. There I am, right in front of him. Bob, see me?
I saw you. Wave next time.
I will. Back on the brakes. This is turn 2. 46 miles per hour. Now he starts accelerating across to 3A and 3B.
That telemetry won an Emmy Award for ESPN Speed World last year during one of our support races at Watkins Glen, but it's been brought to Winston Cup races for the first time, and it's being done through the cooperation of NASCAR. And we thank them for allowing us to show you the telemetry on this race car driven by Tom Kendall.
Bob, we should mention that Morgan Shepherd and Hut Strickland are back out on the track after having been in the garage area for some repairs. So for their fans, they're back out here. Of course, they're far behind.
This time around will be the halfway mark. And at the moment, Rusty Wallace is the leader. John Kernan is there as Darrell Waltrip comes in.
Darrell had told Jeff Hammond just a moment ago that the car quit running. Well, it is running now. They've been having a fuel pressure problem, a problem with the fuel pickup. They thought it might be a fuel pump. They won't be able to work on that problem right now, but they're hoping that by filling up the gas tank that it will alleviate the problem, because on a full tank, the pickup was fine. So we're only a few laps away from scheduled pit stops. Darrell comes in and takes on 4 tires and 2 cans of gasoline, and it's away.
$10,000 about to be won by Rusty Wallace as he brings the car off of turn number 11. Here is Rusty headed for the start-finish line, and cross flags are being shown. There is the halfway challenge. The winner is Rusty Wallace. He is leading at the halfway point. He wins the $10,000 from the Gillette right guard people. And if you have entered the contest and are called back, you could win the Pontiac Grand Prix SE if you tell them that Rusty Wallace was the winner of the right guard halfway challenge here at Sonoma this afternoon. Well, action on the course while Rusty was crossing the line.
A little close racing there. Rick Mast in car number 1. And Bill Elliott in car number 9 gets a little bit of an assist from Ernie Irvin, and around Bill goes. Bill not having a good day here today, and he's a good road racer too. He's just not doing well today.
24th is where he was shown before that little incident. Well, Jerry Punch can update us on the pit strategy as we are nearing the point when pit stops will be made.
Well, a lot of concern here up and down pit road about fuel consumption here. Normally these cars can run about 80 or 90 miles on an oval, but here they're only getting about 2.5 miles per gallon, and they have a 22-gallon tank, but they can't pick up all the 22 gallons. A lot of guys are already complaining about fuel pickup problems, so we should be seeing some pit stops as early as the next 2 to 3 laps. A lot of people are saying they can only run about 22 to 25 laps. In fact, Tommy Kendall's crew is now waiting for Kendall to make an appearance on pit road. Bob?
Yes, indeed. We see him headed toward the pit area as Wallace and Rudd remain on the course, but the third-place car of Tom Kendall comes in for a scheduled pit stop. Here he is through our in-car camera, making his way slowly down pit road.
Kendall's Bellow Yellow Pontiac has only completed 21 laps at the previous pit stop, so Kendall's crew now will change all 4 tires. Gary Nelson and the rest of the Felix Savada's own team have changed right side tires, pull the left side tires off. Very important to get the car completely full of fuel. They will need at least 1 more stop to make it all the way here, as they have trouble now with the left rear tire. He is down and away.
His pit down toward turn 1. A car off is a 0-0 of Scott Gaylord.
And Bob, if the full course caution comes out, this is something Darrell Waltrip did not want, because he went a lap down to the leaders when he made his pit stop. We see Rusty Wallace, the leader, coming through turn 7 here right now. But Waltrip does not want to see a caution right now until the others have to stop. Okay, car 00 gets going, so maybe there won't be one.
But Ned Jarrett, Tom Kendall does want, as we watch the Scott Gaylord car spin out, what a break for Tom Kendall with a full course yellow, if that is in fact what we get, because he has already made his pit stop. Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd would come in, and he would be the leader of the race if we have a full course yellow.
Yeah, certainly worked to his advantage.
Don't think we're going to have one because Scott Gaylord got the car running again, and he's okay. And another spin, Michael Waltrip. As Kendall came into the pits, Michael Waltrip did a spin in turn number 11. There goes Davey Allison by. And Terry Labonte also. So Rusty Wallace continues to lead. We have passed the halfway point of this 300-kilometer event. We'll be right back in just a moment.
In trying to make an artistic statement, one should be careful not to let one's personal aroma do the talking. In order not to offend the critics, I recommend Right Guard Sport Stick. It provides maximum protection and the freshest scents, a sublime palette of odoriferous emanations. After all, a true artiste should be remembered for his inspiration, not his perspiration. Right Guard Sport Stick. Anything less would be uncivilized.
The technology developed on the track for the awesome 650 horsepower Lumina NASCAR champion goes into cars like this. The new 200 horsepower twin dual cam V6 Lumina Z34. Sorry, decals not included. Z34. Powerful proof more people are winning with the heartbeat of America.
$2.29 for a pot pie? There must be some mistake. And duck à l'orange. For my kids? There must be some mistake. I said, where's the manager? He says he is. There must be some mistake.
Today's banquet is for families like yours. Good food at the right price. And varieties the whole family will enjoy.
I'm sticking with Banquet. And that's no mistake.
Today's banquet. Good food that's right on the money.
Brett Bodine, one tough driver, talks about Quaker State, one tough motor oil.
At North Wilkesboro, that Carolina asphalt was hot enough to fry our King Racing Buick. Our engine was running hot, 240 degrees, and I had to keep pushing it over 8,000 RPM. Now that's when you start worrying about your oil's viscosity breaking down. But when the going got tough, the same Quaker State you can buy right off the shelf was tough enough to get me to the finish line first.
Quaker State is one tough motor oil.
Speed World, bringing you auto racing coverage around the world. Over 200 motorsports events on ESPN. And today in the wine country, Sonoma, California, and Sears Point International Raceway, there is your leader, Rusty Wallace. Second place is Ricky Rudd, and anticipating pit stops here before very long. Tom Kendall, who was running third but has fallen back to 19th, has made his second scheduled pit stop of the afternoon.
Bob, we thought for a moment that Mark Martin might be gaining on Rusty Wallace, but that's not the case in the last 4 or 5 laps. Wallace hasn't opened up much more of a lead over Ricky Rudd, as you can see Rudd in the picture there, but Mark Martin has fallen back about a second further behind than he was.
Now right there is the entrance to the pits. There are those yellow, and here, I thought Rudd was going to make the entrance onto pit road, but he did not, so our 2 front runners stay out there, and so does third place Mark Martin in the Folgers Ford car number 6.
That's what I would call a wide entry to turn 11, wouldn't you, Bob?
Yeah, I would say so. Now the leader is going to be moving up on some slower traffic. Sterling Marlin ahead, and also Ted Musgrave in car number 55. Both of those cars move over and let Rusty pass without any problem at all.
This is going downhill, right-hander.
Here's Tom Kendall going through corner number 11. As we indicated, he's fallen back to 16th position. Jerry, what was the strategy for bringing him in so early?
Well, Bob, Bob, Gary Nelson brought Tommy Kendall in about 5 laps early, knowing that everyone has to make at least one more stop. Now, he realizes that Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace should be pitting any time now. But if they calculate their pit stops according to how much fuel they'll have to make their final stop with about 5 laps to go. Now, barring caution flags, of course, they'll have to come back in. We're talking about Wallace, Rudd, etc., with 5 laps to go. They will make their stop, meaning Gary Nelson and Tommy Kendall, with about 10 laps to go, meaning they'll be back up front. It'll be up to Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd to catch them for the win.
Well, several cars have made pit stops. As we watched Tommy Kendall, he is one of those who has made a pit stop. Michael Waltrip has made a pit stop, so has Lake Speed. Others will be coming in here very shortly.
We saw Darrell Waltrip in the pits a couple of times. He's riding around the racetrack right now. Looks like he might have just 4th gear in his car. He's not at the speed at all.
Kendall has just passed Herschel McGriff in car 04. Here is the leader once again, Rusty Wallace, and he will take at least one more lap before coming in. Now headed for turn number 1 again.
Here he comes. There he goes.
Boy, the right front of that car almost drags on the pavement as he goes around some of those corners.
That's the one thing I've been noticing when they come through turn 1. When they make that left-hander, the right front literally drags the racetrack. That's how soft the springs are.
Our Western Auto race recap. Rusty Wallace has led 27 of the 40 laps. We've had 3 full-course caution periods for a total of 8 laps. 32 cars remain on the lead lap, and the average speed, not bad, 73.09 miles an hour. Those who have led a lap, Rusty Wallace, current leader. Ricky Rudd. Now you can see that R.K. Smith was the only car that is officially out of the race, although several are behind pit wall, and R.K. had an encounter with one of the dirt banks here and then came in with engine failure. Now let's take a look at the Mechanic of the Year standings from Western Auto. Andy Petrie on Harry Gant's car is on top, with Kirk Shelmerdine of Dale Earnhardt second. Then Bob Johnson on the 1-car third. Tony Glover from Ernie Irvin's crew is fourth, and Larry McReynolds, now working for Davey Allison, is fifth in the Mechanic of the Year standings from Western Auto. Well, he passed up the pit entrance again, guys, so he's going to stay out there for at least another lap. We're talking about the leader, Rusty Wallace.
Well, it looks like he might be trying to stay out there long enough, Bob, that he can maybe go the rest of the way after this. Here comes Mark Martin in, though.
Mark Martin, the 3rd place runner, relinquishes his position. Jerry Punch will call this pit stop.
Well, Mark Martin should be coming in for his scheduled stop, and remember, they can only run 25 miles an hour on pit road. It almost looks like slow motion. Now, the hood of that Folgers Ford did it in when all those cars jammed together on the restart, and of course, Ernie Irvin spun, resulting from that. But now the short track car, the backup car they had not intended to run, comes in for the Folgers crew to take a look at. Right rear tire going on, and now Steve Mill puts the lug nuts back in place. They have taken the lugs off the left side. They put the first can of fuel in. They absolutely would love to get a win here, because this course has not been very kind to the Jack Roush team. Good pit stop for them. 4 tires, full tank of fuel, and they're away.
Mark Martin, second in Winston Cup points last year, goes back into competition. There you can see his 1990 road course finishes. Pretty impressive. And Darrell Waltrip is in the pits with the hood up on the Western Auto Chevy. Looks like they're changing the carburetor on that car. John Kernan, is that what they're doing?
That's exactly right, Bob. They brought him in. He's been having that fuel pressure problem. First, they thought it might have been a bad fuel pump. They thought the hose in the pickup might have dropped off and just wasn't picking up the gasoline. Darrell called Jeff just a few moments ago and said, I got to bring it down. Just can't run like this. So they decided to change the carburetor. They think maybe a float has hung up inside the carburetor.
Third in Winston Cup points going into this race. Darrell Waltrip on pit road with the hood up.
You know, it'd be interesting if that is the problem with carburetor, because I was talking to Billy Stavola, the owner of Rick Wilson's Snickers Buick, yesterday, and he told me at Dover their car was running well, but he got some trash in his carburetor, had to change a carburetor during the race. And you only see carburetors change a couple of times a year.
And Jeff Bodine enters pit road. John Kernan, he's coming your direction.
Jeff, who's tried to stay out there so he can make it with his last fuel stop, but I don't believe they're going to be able to quite make that with 30 so laps left in the race. It will be scheduled 4 tire tire service. You can see a little bit of damage on the left front where he and Michael Walter got together down here just a few laps ago. Right sides are on, left sides coming off to go on, getting every drop of fuel into the car that they can, and he's now full. They will pull away some of that sheet metal damage I talked about momentarily to get it away from that left front tire. Just sitting still on the jack, feet right, twist the knob, the handle, and he is down and away.
Now remember, this is the Flossie Johnson car, 97, while Junior sits out the last 2 races of his suspension. The 25 car of Ken Schrader has made a pit stop. Service completed on the Kodiak Chevrolet. And Ken Schrader, who won at Dover last weekend, is back in action. Here's Rusty Wallace coming up on Bobby Hillen, driving the number 52 car. This is the car that's normally driven by Jimmy Means, but he has given it up for the last couple of races to Bobby. Here they come toward the pit entrance. Let's see. I don't think so, because he's going inside. Nope.
I tell you what, Bob, they certainly have got that fuel pickup problem solved. Here comes Ricky Rudd in the pits. Our second place car is in the pits.
So Rudd brings the Tide Chevrolet in. He gives up second place, 25 miles an hour. Jerry Punch, it is a slow movement down pit road.
Has to seem like an eternity for the driver to sit there and just putter along at 25 miles an hour. Be careful not to stall the car as the crew now goes to work on the right side of the Tide Chevrolet. Would expect to see the typical 4-tire change and fueling of the car. Now, a lot of calculations being done right now as to whether some of these guys may be able to make it all the way on this final pit stop. At least they're working that way. Wallace pit now working the left side tires on the Tide Chevrolet. I might mention also that Mark Martin's pit stop 2 laps ago was a little bit earlier than scheduled because he had a flat right front tire. And here's number 5 exiting pit road.
And it's so good to see those pit crew members wearing full face helmets and protected as much as they can from anything that could go wrong on pit road.
Well, we understand that Jeff Bodine and the Budweiser team think that they can go the rest of the way. They just pitted a lap ago, so those that are still out there, like Rusty Wallace, they should have no problems then once they make their pit stops.
Jeff Bodine fell to 15th when he came in for that stop, but if he can go the rest of the way, he could be a contender. Meanwhile, Rusty Wallace's pit crew gets set for him to come in. Here he is in turn number 9. Going through turn number 10 right here. Headed down the straightaway. And let's see if he does flank off. I believe he's going to come in. Yes. Rusty Wallace comes in. Jerry Punch. All this pit stop by Rusty Wallace, who gives up the lead.
Well, by their calculations, this may be his final stop on pit road, barring the caution flag, so possibly that strategy from Gary Nelson may not work. Rusty Wallace getting ready to bring the Miller Genuine Draft car to a halt as he comes down pit road. Harold Elliott, Jimmy Maycar, Nick Alila, and all the Penske Racing crew here for the Miller team will go to work on the right side of the car. Rusty sitting very calmly in the car, reaches over, gets a nice cold drink. They clean the windshield, and the crew really hustling. Maycar has slapped the right front tire back on. They hustle around down to the left side, making sure they get every single drop of Union 76 fuel in this car. Left front tire, left rear tire going on. Like a high-speed ballet, this crew now drops the jack, and Rusty Wallace will pull away back to turn 1.
22.7 second pit stop for Rusty Wallace.
And Bob, as that was going on, Joe Ruttman apparently ran out of gas as he came off of turn 7 up here. Should be coasting back down towards turn 11 there now.
Okay. And he's made the pit road.
Okay, I was wondering if he'd be able to do it, but he was downhill from where he ran out of gas, so he ran out of a good place.
And coming in just ahead of him is the 22 Sterling Martin, and Harry Gann is on pit road, John.
Harry comes in, takes on the fuel. He should have no problems making it the rest of the way, but his throttle was hanging. They had to briefly take the hood up and unstick the throttle. He had shut the motor off when he came in. The throttle was stuck wide open. But they will go to work now on the right side and take care of the business at hand, although that has cost them a lot of time in the pits. The car has been fueled. It has been filled. They will do a 4-tire change. But as I said, Harry will have no problems going the rest of the way. According to their last check, he has gone about 30 laps between pit stops.
Fred Bodine pulls out of the Quaker State Buick, and now Harry Gant's Gold Bandit Oldsmobile is down off the jacks, and he returns to the action. The leader is Dale Jarrett in car number 21 as we ride with him with the roof cams here at Sears Point International Raceway in Sonoma, California. We'll be right back.
Ever wonder what Daryl does when he's not racing?
I'm at Western Auto, kind of checking things out, and you should too. Hey, guys.
Hi, Daryl.
Because now you can enter our exciting We Win, You Win $1 Million Racing Sweepstakes. There's monthly drawings for Chevy Luminas, race trips, plus, if I win the championship, one of you will win $1 million.
While you're at Western Auto, pick up a Delco Freedom 60 battery for just $44.99. Delco Freedom 60 battery. It's like buying time.
You do look good in cardboard.
No better way to face the day.
The morning belongs to Skin Bracer Aftershave. Its cool, brisk tingle really gets you going. And what a great scent. Skin Bracer.
No better way to face the day. Find it.
What do I know about kitchen stuff?
Small appliances.
Plug.
Outlet.
Want to know any more? Ask Ace.
This Windmere 12-inch 3-speed oscillating fan only $13.99, and the Hose King hose wheel is just $19.99.
Hey, Ace is the place for me.
Let me tell you.
George 117 in pursuit of request additional backup. You copy?
117.
San 216, we copy. Approaching 6900 block. Let's get a roadblock.
More police cars throughout America come on Goodyear Eagle radials than any other brand of tires. Why? Because they want it that way.
Attention all units.
Goodyear Eagles. The authorities know, and it's why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
For 35 years, Midas has been providing quiet, installing quality products for clean, safe, and quiet driving.
Well, it's time we made some noise. Midas announces Quiet Riot Day.
We're celebrating our anniversary with great values on quality muffler, brake, and suspension services. Guaranteed. So get to the riot, and we'll provide the quiet. The Midas Quiet Riot. For great values, nobody beats Midas. Nobody!
Back at Sears Point, and Dale Jarrett was the leader, but just one problem after another on pit road for Dale, and the car still isn't rolling under its own power. We've seen several crew members come out and try to help push the car and spray ether into the machine to try to get it running. There you can see Dale just doing everything he can, but finally the car stops right down here at pit exit. And now it appears as if they may push the car the other way on pit road. A tough break for Dale Jarrett, who was running good in the Cisco Ford and was in the lead, but then all kinds of problems on pit road.
No doubt the car did run out of fuel, and just simply the car engine being hot, the starter and everything, not able to get the engine to spin over well enough to restart.
Meanwhile, on the racetrack, the lead has gone back to Rusty Wallace. After our pit stops have been completed, Rusty Wallace is the leader of the race. Running in second is Ricky Rudd. Third is Tom Kendall. Fourth is Mark Martin. And fifth is Davey Allison. Sixth place belongs to the 97 car of Jeff Bodine. Then Ken Schrader, Michael Waltrip, Terry Labonte, and Alan Polwicki as we ride inside Tom Kendall's mellow yellow Pontiac.
Bob, he seems to be having a little bit of a problem. The car is sputtering when he comes off of turn 7 here. He's still running good out on the road course, but he's not getting the acceleration off of turn 7 that he would like to have.
Well, that's Ricky Rudd right there ahead of him in second position, and here comes Mark Martin, though, right behind him. So the first 4 cars are running pretty close together on the racetrack.
That sounds like a fuel pickup problem. We were talking about Rusty Wallace earlier having a fuel pickup problem. That's what that sounds like. They had talking about the problem Tom Kendall's having off that corner up in turn 7. Now wave, Bob, you see me?
No, you're going to have to do it harder. I can't see you. How's the weather out there? It was a beautiful morning when we started here today.
It is utterly fantastic. Must be 75, 80 degrees. The breeze about 5-6 miles per hour. Just perfect.
Mark Martin is in 4th spot.
Looks like he's trying to close in a little bit on Tommy Kendall.
Passing the 99 of John Krebs, one of the Winston West competitors, and that Skoal-sponsored car. Now they're headed down through turn number 6 again and on to the drag strip.
Rusty Wallace now beginning to pull away from the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place cars.
Looks like Mark's closing in on Kendall.
Yes, he is. Coming into turn 7, he runs it in there hard on him. As the car number 91 moves up out of their way. Both of them go underneath him, but that time, Kendall's car accelerated okay off of that turn, at least as well as Mark Martin's.
Coming up through the yellow, or the S's, I should say. Boy, we have had good luck in terms of caution flags here today. Look at this. Only one car is officially out of the race. That was R.K. Smith very early on. Behind the wall is Ted Musgrave at number 55. Boy, yesterday, whew, when we run 1 or 2 laps and we go back to caution, something like 29 of the 50 laps yesterday in the Southwest Tour event here at Sears Point were under caution. But it's been exactly opposite that today, as everybody has been able to stay out there in competition.
There goes the Kendall and the Martin car right by me.
I saw you that time, Benny.
Did you? Good. And you're right. Martin is right on the back bumper of Kendall. He's going to have to find him a better spot than this to pass, though. Downhill, hard right-hander downhill. Off camera just a little bit.
Mark Martin continues his pursuit of Tom Kendall. See how things shake out as they come off of corner number 6 and head down the straightaway. And as they head toward you, Ned, we've seen a lot of passing here in the...
Yeah, this is the place they've done it. Let's see, Mark Martin coming in here this time, but he couldn't get up close enough to get up on the outside, so he's going to follow Tom Kendall right through, right on his back bumper. Hopes he slips a little bit coming off the turn, but Tom Kendall didn't. So Mark Martin's going to have to stay right there in 4th place for a moment.
So it remains Kendall in 3rd and Mark Martin in 4th spot. We'll take another break. Be back with more live coverage in just a moment from Sears Point International.
Up here, the days run long. Sometimes the job is all uphill, but you keep on going. And once you've made it all the way to the top, the mountains will take your breath away and remind you there's no place you'd rather be than right here, right now.
Where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? So where can you go on Goodyear Wrangler radials? Just about anywhere you want. Put on a set of Goodyear Wrangler radials, and you'll know why we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
Hey, I like to save money as much as the next guy. But what are the odds that there's going to be a sale on the parts you need when your car breaks down? Hey, it's not going to happen. That's why I go to AutoZone. I mean, sure, you could wait around for a couple weeks and maybe beat their price by a few pennies someplace else. But I don't want to wait for a sale when I need a part. Now, what more could you ask for?
Rusty Wallace blasts through the second or the turn 10 area, remaining in the lead here in the Banquet Frozen Foods 300-kilometer Winston Cup race. He's got a nice lead on Ricky Rudd. Here comes Rudd in 2nd spot. Now, a while ago, Kendall was 3rd and Martin was 4th. It's the other way around right now, as Mark Martin has been able to pass Tom Kendall and take over 3rd position. As we watch now from Kendall's in-car camera, and here's the replay of how the pass occurred.
Just going down in turn 11, Bob. Mark Martin gets under, gets position, out breaks him in the corner, and there's really truly nothing in the world Kendall can do except go down and get spun out.
Well, he put the right side tires on the rumble strips. Look at this, 3 abreast.
Yeah, that was coming into turn from 3A, and they had 3 cars, including the 7 car and 22, had come 3 abreast into turn 7 here not long ago. I thought that's where he was, but they got together somewhere else, too.
Well, I'm telling you, there is hardly room for 2 cars, let alone 3 out there. everything is going Rusty Wallace's way at the moment, with a nice interval on Ricky Rudd in second spot. John Kernan has a story on the brakes being used on the Rudd car.
Well, Bob, what we have here is a new caliper developed by the guys down at Wildwood, down in Camarillo, California, between Santa Barbara and Los Angeles. And what makes this special with this caliper is that they use stainless steel pistons, also stainless steel construction through here, and ceramic cloth between the heat shield and the caliper. Now, what this does is it allows the caliper to run about 100 degrees cooler. They first used this caliper in Darlington. Ricky Rudd debuted it there, and at Martinsville, it was about 100 degrees, 500 degrees at that track, 100 degrees cooler. And what you do there is you do not boil the brake foot. At places like a short track like Martinsville, and also here on the road course, you're standing on the brakes quite a lot. So you do have a problem with the brakes. And this is just a little thing that some of these guys are using, a little bit of technology to get an edge right here on the racetrack. And speaking of technology, Jerry Punch has something else down on the road.
Well, we're up here with Gary Nelson on top of the rig here. That Felix Savalas has a nice little fishing chair here for Gary to sit in on the SS Mellow Yellow here on top of the fence, and we'll climb up here and sort of try to hover with Gary. Now, Gary, there's been some concern that maybe your car was sputtering a little bit. You lost a spot a minute ago to Mark Martin.
Well, the car sputters after about 20 laps, where the other teams can go about 30. So we get split up into the fuel pickup problem that we're having in the left-hand turn. So we just split up from the last caution period, 20 laps, and then it's 20 laps to the finish. Rusty looks like he can make it all the way, and maybe the 6 car or the 5. We can't make it all the way. Caution would sure help. But as far as everything else goes, Tommy's doing a great job, and we're really happy that he's running up front as far as he is.
Well, there's some concern here in the Gary Nelson, Tommy Kendall pitch. They would love to see another yellow flag so they can all come back in and top them all. Bob?
All right, Tom Kendall has fallen back to 4th position. There's the leader, Rusty Wallace.
He has about a 6.5-second lead over Ricky Rudd right now, Bob. He's running very comfortably out there.
Down through turn number 11 once again. This will complete lap number 54. Look at this. Lake Speed and Ernie Irvin have found each other again, Benny.
They sure have. And where did Ernie go? All of a sudden, he's not there. Oh, there he is. He's trying that outside move up towards you, Ned.
Yes, coming in there in turn 7. Let's see if he can do it. Coming in there. Yeah, he does. He had him pretty well cleared before he got to the turn. So Ernie makes the pass. Motor's right on the lawn.
And that moves Ernie Irvin to 11th position and Lake Speed back to 12th.
Ernie sure had his problems today. Spun on the restart earlier when he got tagged from behind by Mark Martin. Made some contact with Bill Elliott up in turn 7.
Updating you on a couple of cars that we have noticed from our vantage point here, which is right at the straightaway. We have a pretty good view of the garage area. And the 21 of Dale Jarrett has gone behind the wall, and so has Joe Ruttman in 75 as we watch from the Phillips 66 in-car camera of Lake Speed. There's the starting line.
Irvin was able to move on away once he got around Lake Speed.
Ernie 6th in the Winston Cup points coming in, 222 behind the leader Dale Earnhardt. Irvin, of course, the winner of the Daytona 500 to start off the Winston Cup season. There's Richard Petty right ahead of Ernie.
Well, Richard had some problems earlier, but he's been back up there running good since they got those squared away.
He's shown in 29th position, Richard Petty is. Now, our Big A on-track interval this week is a little different. We consider the technical part of the racetrack between turns number 1 and number 8, where Rusty Wallace is right now. It's very demanding for the race car. And through the technical portion of the track, Rusty Wallace had a 67 seconds, Rudd at 67.1, Kendall at 67.6, and look at Mark Martin with a 66.4. Now, the fast area of the racetrack we consider between turns number 8 and the start-finish line. And as you can see, as Rusty Wallace now moves down through corner number 6 and onto that straightaway, Wallace had 38.3 in the fast section of the course, Rudd at 37.8, Kendall at 38.3, and Martin at 38.1. And then there's the last of the lap time there on the right. Now, Wallace right now is entering the fast section of the racetrack, down through the S's. Turn 8, turn number 9. Out onto a straightaway into turn number 10. Here's a battle on course between Speed and Alan Kowicki.
Well, they touched bumpers there just momentarily, but Alan was running right behind Speed when the 4 car of Ernie Irvin got by a little bit ago.
This is the battle for 12th position. Looking back on Alan Kowicki, who was running 13th.
Going around the carousel, turn 6, heading up back straight away, and Ned, they're coming towards you.
Well, let's see if Alan tries to pull out and outbrake him going into the turn. Yep, he's going to pull up there. Let's see, did he get up far enough? Lake locks the brakes again going into the turn. He didn't want to slide out into Kowicki. Now Kowicki's going to try down on the inside. Both of them get a little bit crossways, but Speed comes out ahead.
I tell you, Lake Speed is very impressive, and again, we mentioned something that we mentioned earlier in the show. It seems like the drivers who have a lot of experience in go-karts, like Lake Speed and Ricky Rudd, really perform well on these road courses.
They sure do. We've seen that time and time again. They just evidently build a good feel for it.
And you wonder why, because the go-kart weighs about 150 pounds, and these cars weigh 3,500 pounds.
You know, Mario Andretti, I think, once said that the weight ratio between a go-kart and an Indy car is just about equal. But not so, of course, with these heavier 3,500-pound stock cars. So Alan Kowicki is in 13th position as the lead continues to be held by Rusty Wallace. And we are 56 laps into this 74-lap event. Back in a moment.
Look for the sign.
Top-of-the-line parts.
The red, blue, and white.
Expert advice.
It's a good sign.
Your Big A Auto Parts store.
Keeps your car running right.
Where the pros go for auto parts.
Big A, the sign that keeps your car running right.
Someone to depend on when you need to depend on your car.
Bingo! Here's another $5,000 winner, and you can win too by playing Cherokee Bingo, the world's largest bingo game. Come play this Friday and Saturday. There's always an assortment of bonanzas, early birds, and quickies. Plus, this Friday, there will be 9 $500 games and a $2,500 jackpot. The Saturday session will pay out over $330,000 in winnings, including 17 $5,000 games and a $50,000 jackpot. It all happens this Friday and Saturday at Cherokee Bingo, Highway 19 north of Cherokee.
Pockety, pockety.
Perhaps I may become a highway manager.
If it happens in baseball, you'll see it on ESPN.
There he goes. He leaps. He makes the catch.
See Tuesday night doubleheaders, Wednesday night excitement, Friday night twin bills, and exclusive Sunday night action. The Blue Jays are locked in battle for first place, led by the bat of Joe Carter. Cal Ripken Jr. is putting up Triple Crown numbers for the Orioles. The Blue Jays meet the Orioles live on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball.
58 of 74 laps completed. It's Wallace, Rudd, Martin, Kendall, and Allison, the top 5 here at Sonoma in the Banquet Frozen Foods 300K. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Ryobi, featuring a full line of power tools for professionals and serious do-it-yourselfers. By Pronto, featuring quality auto parts at lower prices. And by Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Tom Kendall is in for a pit stop. Jerry.
Actually, a little bit earlier than they would expect, but Kendall has come down pit road nevertheless, Bob, and they will change all 4 tires and fill it up with fuel. He had to make one more stop anyway, and I guess they're going to try to give him the best chance they can to get back up front. Otherwise, he would have made that final stop with just a few laps to go. Kendall's car is down and away. That's a complete pit service.
I think that's a smart move, bringing him in a little bit earlier. Of course, I noticed the last couple of laps around coming off of turn 7, we mentioned earlier that the car was sputtering coming off of here, and it was a little bit worse the last 2 or 3 times. But now he is back out there, has all the service he needs for the balance of the race, and should they get a caution, he's going to be in super shape, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. So I think that was a good strategy.
He comes out in 9th position. Here is a spin by Mike Chase. Now, the question is this going to bring out a caution? Another car stops.
The caution is coming out because Morgan Shepherd is stopped up in turn 2.
Yeah.
There we're seeing Mike Chase. We're looking at Mike Chase, but Morgan Shepherd has stopped up in turn 2 with a blown engine.
Shepherd's right there on the left. And there is...
Tremendous break for Tommy Kendall. That's the break that he needed. Now everybody else will come in. He'll stay out on the track, and they'll be behind him.
And there is the caution flag.
The full course caution. 4th yellow of the afternoon, and yes, indeed, this is a good break for Tommy Kendall. They're the corner workers that play such an important part of road racing, showing the yellow flag. Now there is Mike Chase in car number 23, who is beginning to get his car headed in the right direction. Now Morgan Shepherd has gotten his car off the racetrack. Ned,
hey,
wait a minute.
Well, it's not so bad out here, Bob.
Well, I guess not.
You know, I'm just sitting here looking down as they come out of turn 6, and I've been in this kind of position before, looking from a golf ball up on the hill.
You're right at home on that golf cart, aren't you?
Feels good, yes,
That's
sir.
quite a system you got there. Watching the monitor, you can see all the racing there in front of you. You got a little shade there on it.
Really nice.
Ned Jarrett and Benny Parsons are out on course today as we cover for you the 300-kilometer race from Sears Point. We'll be right back.
$2.29 for a pot pie? There must be some mistake. And duck à l'orange. For my kids? There must be some mistake. I said, where's the manager? He says he is. There must be some mistake.
Today's banquet is for families like yours. Good food at the right price. And varieties the whole family will enjoy.
I'm sticking with Banquet. And that's no mistake.
Today's banquet. Good food that's right on the money.
This is how a Ferrari Testarossa looks on the road. And this is how a Ferrari Testarossa looks to the road, where it ultimately responds through the contact patch of its Goodyear Eagle tires, the exclusive tires chosen for every Testarossa sold in America. Goodyear Eagles. They're another reason we say the best tires in the world have Goodyear written all over them.
We are under caution for the 4th time this afternoon, and we have completed 59 of the 74 laps here at the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 at Sonoma, our Speed World Cup. Hey, Benny, there you go.
Free food. Where is that, Bob? Come on.
I knew that'd get your attention. Where? Boy, just a great crowd on hand here for this race this afternoon. Now, the pits are open as the pace car leads them down, and Rusty Wallace, the leader, has come in, Jerry. Is this a surprise?
Well, not really. They would have been very close. They would have had to gamble. In fact, they would have had to run 28 laps to make it to the checkered flag. Ricky Rudd, who pitted a lap earlier, would have had to run 29 laps. In fact, he had only been able to run 27 under green. So it would really have been a gamble. As now the front 2 cars, both Rusty Wallace and Ricky Rudd, will come on to pit road under caution and make this final pit stop, which makes Tommy Kendall look pretty good right now. Also, Mark Martin pulling in, and they will change all 4 tires on the Rusty Wallace car. Likewise, Mark Martin, Terry Labonte also getting a lot of service. The pits are getting crowded. Everyone playing follow the leader here in this, what may be the final pit stop in this caution flag of the afternoon. left side tires now going back on the Mark Martin car and the Rusty Wallace car. Rusty's car is down and away. Steve Beal finishing the left side blood guts on Mark Martin. He pulls away. And here is Ricky Rudd and Davey Allison headed back to turn 1.
Cars going back onto the racetrack after a series of pit stops here. Well, as we saw, there is a free food being offered for Benny Porsons in some portion of the racetrack, so Benny is on his way to try to sniff that out. This has been, of course, a great area to come to when you talk about food. One of the real nice places to come in the United States to get some food and some wine, for that matter, huh, Benny?
Bob, I'm telling you what, unbelievable. Old buffet Benny this week, French food. I know you're not familiar with that, Bob. Domaine Chandon. Watch this.
It's 1 o'clock at home. You got anything to eat at the gas station?
No, we don't have anything down there, but I had a friend invite me out for lunch. She said I could bring anybody I wanted. She want to go with me?
You got a car?
Yeah, she sent one down. It's right over here.
Okay,
let's go.
Oh, wow, what a car.
Hey, this is California, man. We did it right.
I bet this is going to beat the hot dogs to the racetrack.
Sure will. Hey, here comes Diane.
Welcome
Hey,
to
man,
the
we
show.
made it. We
Yeah,
made it.
it's really
Benny
great
Parsons,
to see you.
Diane
My
Soul.
pleasure.
Hi,
My
Diane.
pleasure.
Diane,
Welcome to the Main Chandon.
thank you.
See?
Bill, thanks for lunch.
This is fantastic, but I'm just a country boy from Elvin, North Carolina. How do you do all this?
Well, we have a great country boy from Champaign in France who's our chef. Let's bring him on and he'll tell us exactly what everything is.
Okay.
Philippe?
All right, Philippe.
Hi.
What is this?
This is a quail. What we do on this quail is an old-time favorite from the south of France. Normally they do it with little tiny birds, but here, you know, everything is a little bit bigger, so we use quail.
All right, we're ready. Oh, my goodness.
So much for the diet.
Benny, that's the far cry from the Dixie Burger in Ellerby, isn't it?
I tell you what, you know, to each its own. I mean, I love the Dixie Burger, but I tell you what, Philippe, the chef at Domaine Chandon, what a cook this guy is.
What's it, Domaine Chandon?
Yeah, it's
what does that mean?
It's, I don't know what it means. They make sparkling wine.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, it looked good.
It was good.
Unfortunately, Benny, that sign that you saw there, "Hey Benny, free food," that's about 100 yards from where I am up here on top of the hill.
The green flag comes out. We're back to racing. On lap number 61, Kendall has the lead.
And there's about 6 or 7 cars, slower cars, between he and Rusty Wallace. Rusty trying to get through him up in turn 2.
Yeah, there's Rusty moving the inside of Dave Marcus. Now Bobby Hamilton. He's knocking him off as he's now got his sights set on the leader of the race, Tom Kendall.
There he goes by Bobby Hillen down in turn 3, right-hander. But meanwhile, while he's having to get by these cars, Kendall driving away.
Oh, he looks serious. Now there's only 2 cars between himself and Tom Kendall.
Well, I tell you, that's pretty impressive, the cars that he passed there in those turns. We haven't seen that many passes on that portion of the racetrack today. Now he's coming into a place coming off turn 6 and into turn 7 that we have seen a good bit of passing. As he runs up on Rick Mast here, let's see if he'll be able to do anything with him. Kendall has a pretty good lead there, but Rusty now trying to move on the inside of Rick Mast, but couldn't make the pass there, so he might have to follow him down through the Essie, Bob.
Yeah, he is. And the 6 car and the 28 car, of course, are also battling for position, and Ricky Rudd also. Mark Martin, Davey Allison, and Ricky Rudd.
Ricky Rudd lost some spots on that pit stop just a moment ago. We can see where he was running in 2nd place. Now he's back to 5th.
Rudd squeezes underneath Bobby Hamilton.
There goes our leader.
And Rusty Wallace has disposed of Rick Mass, so now only Richard Petty remains between him and the leader of the race.
Oh, Richard Petty. Oh, Richard hard into the wall up here in turn 1, Bob.
Richard Petty has gone into the tires, and oh, he has hit hard. Look at the damage on the front end of that car. Another full course caution is going to come out, and Richard Petty has had serious contact with the tire barrier.
There is a little bit of fire in the right front, Bob. I'm going to walk down to the edge of the racetrack and just see if Richard is moving around in the car. Rusty Wallace was trying to get by him. I think Richard was trying to move over to let Rusty by and got off course.
There's one of the tires from the tire barrier. This is not off one of the cars, but from the stacks of tires that help absorb any impact.
Hey, Richard, you okay? Richard is moving around in the car.
Good.
He is moving around, but
his pit crew is concerned, and here now are the safety officials that are arriving on the scene of the crash.
Be sure and somebody go by and tell Dale Inman that Richard is moving around in the car.
Obvious hard impact, though. Look at how the front end of that Pontiac has been torn up so badly. And Dale gets the crew members receiving word now that Richard is moving around inside the car.
Bob, if we can take that camera up in turn 2 and shoot down here, you see the cement wall right behind the 43 STP Pontiac? Richard Petty has come in and hit this wall head on with the right front of the STP Pontiac. That's what did all the damage. There is a cement wall right to my left that he had hit on.
And the tires will absorb the impact to some degree, but when there is cement behind them, you see how much damage is done to the race car. Word is that Richard Petty is moving around inside the car, although he has had a major accident here at Sears Point. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, Dr. Jerry Punch back at Sears Point International Raceway. Winston Cup Racing. Richard Petty has had a crash here in the late stages of this event, and Benny, you saw it from beginning to end.
I did. Rusty Wallace was trying to get by Richard to make his run towards Tommy Kendall, and I don't know if Richard just got out in the loose stuff and lost control or was contact or what have you. I did see the car side by side, and all of a sudden the STP Pontiac comes straight towards me and hits the concrete abutment right behind the car. Now, they have taken Richard's helmet off. They have the stiff neck brace to put on Richard. He still is not out of the car, and they're working on the car. That's no place for me to be right now, so I'm going to stand back and try to get a word with these rescue workers once they get Richard out of the car. Here comes Kyle. We might be able to see Kyle on his crutches coming down to check on his father. He's looking in the car now. Maybe we'll be able to get Kyle to come over. If he talks to Richard, maybe we can get Kyle over.
We have a replay of the crash, although it was in an area that here he is. He's coming under the Autolite Bridge right now, Richard Petty, and you can see he locked up the brakes and it just wouldn't turn. The car went hard into that cement barrier, which was protected by some tires. Couldn't see the actual impact with the wall, but there's how much the car was torn up. They continue to work over the STP Pontiac. Richard Petty, 5 wins on road courses, all of them at Riverside. So we're going to be under yellow here for quite a while. They have to get the race car off the track. And of course,
hey, Richard, hey, Bob,
there
Richard
he is
crawling out of this car.
We see him. He doesn't even have the neck brace on. Richard has crawled out of the car.
Oh, baby.
He says, I don't need that back support. Get me out of here. And the workers are clapping. Richard is walking to the ambulance. Boy, that is just great news. The King has survived another one, and he waves to the crowd. I tell you, what a guy.
Kyle, did he talk to you?
Yeah. He said, sorry, I got some laryngitis. He said he hit some hole coming through this corner. The car got out from under him when he got on the brakes, then he popped the tire and hit this wall pretty much. Tore a car to pieces.
I said to get in the ambulance and go with your dad. Okay, bud. Oh, I'm telling you what, that was the greatest sight in the world, Bob, to see Richard climb out of that car, because I saw him moving around, but yet it took so long to get out of the car. I didn't know exactly what was going on. I am so relieved.
Benny, last year, of course, when we did this at Watkins Glen for the first time, you were on the scene of a crash that occurred late in the race, and now it happens to work out where you're right there to talk with Kyle and others that are closely watching this situation down there.
But, Bob, obviously, it's not something you want to do.
That's for sure.
I want to be here to talk about the pass for the lead or the pass for the win, not to show you. I don't know if you can see.
Oh, yeah.
From this record. But this race car should be, the nose of this car should be out here. It must be pushed back 4 or 5 feet. Bob, this has got to be one of the worst crashes that you could possibly have.
Boy, the impact just had to be tremendous to do that much damage to the car. Richard is okay. He has walked to the ambulance. The field is under yellow with 64 laps completed. Back after this. 5-year-old race fan from San Antonio, Texas, who won a brand new Pontiac Grand Prix in the Right Guard Halfway Challenge this afternoon. He was watching ESPN and was called back by the Right Guard people, and he has won the Pontiac Grand Prix. Jerry Punch.
A lot of concern here in the Rusty Wallace pit. Rusty's radioed in a minute ago, said he has a problem, and behind me, Harold Elliott and Jimmy Makar and the crew are watching anxiously, trying to make a decision. Now, what they're trying to decide is, should they bring Rusty in? Apparently, the car is sputtering or missing even more now. They think they may have a plug wire off, or possibly it may be something in the valve train. They're not really sure what it is. Now, what they're trying to do is figure out if there are 18 cars in the lead lap, according to their calculations. Now, with 8 laps to go, do they risk coming and pitting it and see if maybe it is a plug wire and they can fix it? Then they get back out and get just a few laps to pass 18 cars, which they'd never be able to do. Maybe still finish 8th or 9th. Or do they stay out there and ride it out and hope that it won't get too bad and maybe he can run quick enough to finish?
That's Jimmy Makar, and he has been chosen the Western Auto Mechanic of the race. So congratulations to Jimmy. Well, we try to take as many commercial breaks here as possible while they are cleaning up the Richard Petty crash here at Sears Point International. Back in a moment. Sonoma, California. We're about 45 miles north of San Francisco at Sears Point International Raceway. Today, bringing you live coverage of the Banquet Frozen Foods 300. Richard Petty's car is now well off the racetrack, and Richard was able to walk into the medical care center under his own power. He walked away from the race car, got into the ambulance, and from the ambulance, he was able to walk into the care center. So more good news about Richard Petty.
And Bob, you saw the car being pulled away. You saw that the rear tires were not turning. That's because the transmission was jammed up in the floorboard of the car. The rescue worker jumped in the car to try to push the clutch in so the rear tires would roll. They did not do that. You know, one thing that might have helped Richard just a little bit was there's a bunch of street tires piled in front of the concrete wall there. He hit those tires and they went scattering every place. There is a lake over to my left. It's about 40 yards from me, and it's about 50 yards where Richard made impact. One of those tires, I watched it fly and go in the lake, Bob.
Boy, that just gives you an idea of how severe the impact was with that concrete and tire barrier on the 43 car, but Richard is okay, and we're certainly glad to see that. Well, I misspoke and misread here a few minutes ago. I said that Lewis Newton was the winner of the Right Guard Halfway Challenge, and there is the tire that Benny was talking about. The winner is Lois Newton, so we congratulate her on her win this afternoon. I wouldn't go out there and get that tire if I were you, Benny. Just keep it there.
I can't swim anyway, Bob.
Okay. We should be going green before too much longer, as Tom Kendall has the lead of this race with Rusty Wallace running in second position. 65 laps have been completed. Back at Sears Point International Raceway in California, and Chris Myers will have all the results from the world of sports this afternoon on Sports Center coming up later this afternoon. Let's go to Jerry Punch on pit road.
Well, Bob, a little bit ago, John Curtin showed you some of the newer brakes that are being used on the cars. Now, adjustable shock absorbers are not new in racing. They've been used in Formula One for many, many years. But they're new to Winston Cup racing because NASCAR just legalized them this year. And what I want to show you here is the new adjustable Bilstein shock absorber. And many of the teams have gone to these. Ricky Rudd used them out here in practice and some, I think, possibly in qualifying. Dale Earnhardt became the first driver to win with this shock absorber earlier this year at Martinsville, Virginia. It's very simple. This little dial on the very top of the shock absorber, if you want to change the compression or rebound, you simply take a screwdriver, insert it in the dial, and there are 7 adjustments on it here. So you can actually adjust the shock absorber while on the race car, which normally saves a lot of time. If you had to change shocks when you come in and practice, you lose a lot of valuable time. You can also make an adjustment during the race. And remember, it's already known that Earnhardt has won with this shock absorber. And these shocks, although just coming into racing, are being used in the production Chevrolet Corvettes. Inside the Corvettes, you can change the ride strength. And of course, that's done by computer, whereas here in racing, it's done by crew member. Going back to green, Bob.
Lap number 68, and we are back to green. Now we'll see how this thing shakes out. It's set up to be what could be a very exciting finish as Tom Kendall still has the lead. Remember, we heard that Rusty Wallace may be having a problem on that car, and several are pursuing him, including Mark Martin, Davey Allison, and Ricky Rudd.
Well, Bob, he might be having a problem because Rick Mast, he had already gotten in front of Rick Mast as they came IB in turn 1. Mast was in front of Rusty Wallace, so Rusty must have some problems on the restart.
And another driver looking for a way through is Dale Earnhardt, who is shown at the moment in 12th position.
There's Mark Martin right on the back bumper on Rusty Wallace, and I think that Rick Mast has driven away from Rusty.
Here comes Kendall out of the corner.
Evidently not. Rick Mast has backed up.
Kendall has a good lead coming into turn 7. Here goes Mark Martin around Rusty Wallace, taking over the 2nd position. Davey Allison now trying to pull up on the outside of Rusty Wallace, so definitely he is having a problem.
Jerry, what's the update on Rusty?
Well, we mentioned it was sputtering. He is now on 7 cylinders, but they realize they still don't have a chance. They have to stay on the track. They may lose a half a dozen spots, but they feel that's more than they would lose, or less than they would lose if they were to pit and try to come back through the field on 7 cylinders. A tough break for Rusty Wallace trying to run these last 6.5 laps here with just a 7-cylinder engine.
Definitely losing ground, though. Davey Allison has passed, and now Rudd is right up on his rear bumper and will undoubtedly make the pass going into turn number 11. There's Rudd to the inside, and indeed he does pass Rusty Wallace.
Where Rusty has been plagued by losing cylinders this year. So many times the car.
6 laps to go. 6 to go, and Tom Kendall leads the Banquet Frozen Foods 300. There is Martin, Allison, Rudd, and Wallace. All of those guys, the top 5. Kendall, of course, looking for his very first Winston Cup win here this afternoon. We asked him earlier in the weekend, do you feel confident you can win today?
I really do. You know, racing is racing, and you never know what's going to happen. But aside from punctures and incidents that happen on the track, you know, if none of those come up and bite us, I think we've got a really good shot. We were doing some longer runs this morning, and I think after about 10 laps, we're going to be in really, really good shape. We were running, I think, about as quick as anybody, or maybe quicker after about 8 or 10 laps on the tires.
Words earlier in the weekend from Tom Kendall, but look at Mark Martin close the gap. Martin is closing in quickly, guys.
No question about it. He has gained almost a second in the last lap, Bob, and he's certainly within striking distance now.
And both these guys want to win so bad. Who's going to be the guy to make the mistake? Is Kendall going to drive the car in the corner too hard, or is Mark Martin going to drive it in too hard? Or is Mark Martin just going to have a faster car? Those are the things we're going to watch for.
Ooh, Mark gets the car a little bit sideways in turn number 11. I think that Mark Martin is going to outpower him. He is closing in as they hit the line, and there are 5 laps to go.
That little slip cost him some distance there, Bob. That's something you'll have to be careful not to do. Of course, he knows that now as good as anyone.
Alan Kulwicki has spun. That was off of turn number 11. The car is moving again, though. Now here's Martin once again closing in on the leader, Tom Kendall. Martin taking the left-right side of that car up on the rumble strips. And here's Alan Kulwicki's bobble in turn number 11 coming out.
Just hits the throttle and hits the throttle too hard, and around the car goes. Makes a 360, gets it headed in the right direction. And then the race is coming towards you. They're around turn 6, and you can probably see the nose of that 42 mellow yellow Pontiac as it comes up the hill.
Yeah, coming in here strong, but Mark Martin is also. Now, watch Martin run in on him coming into the turn. Martin is really driving deep into these turns. And we hear just a little bit of that sputter that we heard before on the car number 42. Not too much. He got good traction off that turn, but Martin is putting the pressure on.
Okay, folks, which do you want? Your beverage hot or cold? The mellow yellow in front, the coffee Folgers machine in back.
Well, Tom Kendall, you can bet, is going to make that 42 mellow yellow Pontiac as wide as he can possibly make it and try to hold off Mark Martin for 4 more laps. Here they are entering turn number 11 again, and Tom is going to hold that lead as they come off of the corner and head toward the start-finish line.
Martin made a much better corner that time. Did not lose the back end. He still lost a couple of car lengths, but last time, as Ned pointed out, lost about 10 car lengths.
Don't go away, friends. We are in the last 4 laps of this race, and it's anybody's at this moment. Not too far behind in 3rd position is Davey Allison, and 4th is Ricky Rudd.
If Davey can dodge the wreck, he might be in good shape.
If Tom Kendall goes on to win this race, he will join other drivers who in the 80s won their first career Winston Cup event on a road course. And among them, Tim Richmond, Ricky Rudd, and Bill Elliott. Down through turn number 6 again, headed onto the straightaway.
I'll tell you, he's going to get all the pressure he can stand. Here's Martin now. Going to try it on the outside. This is the pass we've seen several times. They touch a little bit coming into the turn. Martin drives her in deep and locks the brakes. That won't get it. Well, here he comes back up on the outside. He might be able to do it. Oh! Again. Martin spins around and slams into the guardrail on the inside. Wow.
Mark Martin has spun, is going to be able to pull away, however. He's going to put one of those tires in the middle of the racetrack, and Bobby Hillen hit it. A lot of action has been seen in turn number 7, Ned, where you are over the years, and we saw it again today as Martin
right here at us right now. That Dave Marcus gets together with a couple of cars, and he's down on the inside, so all kinds of action here in turn 7.
Man. Marcus is going to be able to get headed in the right direction, I believe.
Yeah, he's got a left rear tire flat on the car. There's a lot of damage on that car. Okay, here's the replay. Martin coming in on the outside. He touched us a little bit before they got to the turn. Then Martin went wide, locked the right front brake. I thought that would have done away with his situation of being able to pass, but then he got out there and Kendall put the bumper to him.
And Davey Allison, meanwhile, has passed Kendall, and here comes Ricky Rudd to do likewise.
Yes, Davey Allison coming off turn 2 got underneath the car of Tom Kendall. It's almost like the Kendall car has a tire going down because the handle has just gone away on the Kendall car.
It could very well be, Benny, because he and Mark Martin had pretty heavy contact there, and it was the left front of Kendall's car that was up against the right rear of Mark Martin's car, so he could very well have cut a tire.
And out of nowhere comes Davey Allison to lead this race.
Where did he come from, Bob?
Isn't that the truth? He has been in the top 5 for most of the afternoon, but really hasn't been too spectacular. But now he finds himself in the lead, and Tom Kendall has a flat tire.
Well, you remember when Benny said just a couple of laps ago that Davey Allison was going to be in good shape if he could dodge the wreck? Well,
yep.
I thought it happened up there.
He dodged the wreck. And Ricky Rudd, if he can take on the victory, there's Tommy Kendall with all the cars going by him. I know Felix Sabates must be, Gary Nelson, the crew must be so sad. And Kendall can't get the car to turn, almost ran in the bank.
Yeah, he's struggling with that car, and it's a really tough break for Tom Kendall, but he has definitely proven himself as a great race driver for the future in Winston Cup racing.
And if Ricky Rudd can catch the 28 car of Davey Allison, he picks up the Unical Challenge, and it's worth, I think, about $45,000 this week, isn't it, Bob?
2 more laps to go. Yeah, the Unical bonus is $45,600. Davey Allison has less than 2 laps to go. Allison, of course, was the star during the month of May at Charlotte. He won the Winston. He won the Coca-Cola World 600, giving Ford their first victories of 1991. And now stands a chance of winning his 2nd Winston Cup race in 3 outings. And Tom Kendall has taken the mellow yellow car behind the pit into the pits. And will be trying to get that tire changed on the car.
I would guess when he made contact with the 6th car that he knocked the tire flat, knocked the air out of the tire when he hit Mark Martin in that right rear quarter.
Yeah, he probably cut it, Benny, because they were hooked together there for a little bit, and they probably did cut the tire.
The question is, can Rudd catch Davey Allison?
Here he comes into turn 7, driving hard in there, trying to do that. He picks up a little bit on him coming into the turn, but Allison pulls away.
Allison leads Rudd down through the S's. That's Dave Marcus just ahead of Davey.
Yeah, this is, Bob, surprise, surprise. A Ford Davey Allison win of a road course. Is this the checker or the white flag? I've lost track.
And coming up on the white flag, Benny. Here they are.
Rudd is there.
11. Oh, and Davey Allison is spun. Ricky Rudd now has the lead. All kinds of contact here in the last few laps. And the white flag flies for Ricky Rudd. Well, we'll see what happens here in the final lap.
Davey Allison did get the car going. He still is in 2nd place.
Well, there's going to be some tempers flaring in the garage area.
Oh, you can say that again. Yep. Davey Allison had the lead and was tagged by Ricky Rudd in turn number 11, coming down for the white flag. NASCAR officials apparently talking over this situation. He's headed toward you for the final time, Ned.
Big Baby is not here.
He comes into turn 7 here in very good shape. As the NASCAR officials talk over what they're going to do.
Davey Allison's crew looks on.
Davey's not too far behind him, too far behind him to catch him before they get back, unless Rudd has a problem. But
I'll tell you what, that's not a happy bunch of campers we just saw in that tied pit. I don't know what's going on down there, but they didn't look like they were jumping up and down with joy in there.
Ricky Rudd brings the car once again down through the S's. This will be for the final time this afternoon. Now entering turn number 11. And Ricky Rudd is apparently going to receive the checkered flag and the win of the Banquet Frozen Foods 300. Here he comes, waving to the pit crew as he passes by. The black flag is shown to Ricky Rudd. Rudd is shown the black flag. Davey Allison is shown the checkered flag.
They did not give the win to Ricky Rudd, Bob?
No, they gave the black flag to Ricky Rudd as he came down and passed under the start-finish line. They waved the checkered flag to Davey Allison, and he apparently is going to win this race.
Well, why don't somebody jump up and down, guys?
They're confused. That's what that crew is. They don't know exactly what is going on.
Wow.
Wow is right.
And I guess Rusty Wallace would finish 2nd then, according to that. It looks like he's the car behind Davey Allison.
You're right. And Ernie Irvin, I believe, would finish 3rd, then Schrader, and then Labonte, followed by Dale Earnhardt. Here's a replay, guys.
Going in turn 11, Davey takes a wide entry down in the corner. Ricky tries to get under him, just makes slight contact in the right rear. Around goes Davey. Rudd keeps the car going straight. Jerry Punch, can you answer any of our questions?
Well, I'm not sure, Benny. I'm with Waddell Wilson. Waddell, what happened in the last lap out there? You didn't get the checkered flag.
You know, I don't understand this. You know, I've been racing since '63, and this is about one of the darndest calls I've seen made in a long time. You know, they've told us in driver's meeting, the last lap you're on your own. But Ricky was not driving dirty. He touched him, sure, but they're in a hairpin turn, and I could have pushed the 28 car around with my hand. But, I mean, it would have been reversed. It wouldn't have made no difference. And, you know, these guys are out here trying to win the race, and it come down to the last lap, and you know, you got to be able to race. And if they're going to take this away from us, this is totally wrong. I've seen it happen time and time again through the years, and they've never taken a race from no one yet doing this. If they do this, this is rotten.
Obviously, Waddell Wilson very upset. Let's check in with John Kernan.
I'm standing by with Davey's crew chief, Larry McReynolds, and still a bit of confusion. They gave the black flag to Ricky, gave the checkered flag to you guys, but you haven't gotten any official word yet.
I don't see how it could be no confusion. You know, I worked with Ricky Rudd for 2 years, and that ain't Ricky Rudd's style. If they let him get by with that, you know, then I ain't got a whole lot to say about NASCAR's procedures. A 28 car, Texaco, Haviland Ford won the race, and that's the way it is.
Well, that's the view from here. Larry and his crew are heading down towards Victory Lane for now.
Well, Davey Allison did not complete the lap. He stopped and put it in reverse and came back around and is already in Victory Lane.
I think there's going to be a crowd there in a minute, Bob.
Well, we're going to take a break and then find out what happens and who won the Banquet Frozen Foods 300.
Yes. Sir, up there. What this? Team unplug on the ears.
Back at Sears Point International, Davey Allison winds up in Victory Lane after some contact on the last lap. Rudd is black flagged. Davey Allison wins. Here's Cherry Punch in Victory Lane.
And they're not happy at all. After dominating the month of May in Charlotte, Davey, congratulations on your first road course win.
Thanks, Jerry. You know, I just can't say enough about Larry McReynolds and all these guys on this crew, Robert Yates and all the guys in the engine shop, just give me everything I need. And I'll tell you, we just went out there and we drove our guts out today, and you know, it's a shame what happened right there on the next to last lap down here in turn 11, but it was, the justification came out in the end, and we're tickled to death to be here in Victory Lane for the second time this season. We're going to get some more.
Now, what happened down there? You and Ricky racing with 2 laps to go.
Well, I drove into turn 11, and next thing I know, somebody just plowed in the back of me and turned me around. And I just stuck it in first gear and took off and kept going, and they came back and they said, you know, they said they were going to penalize for stop and go because it was obviously deliberate.
Okay, now he didn't have a stop and go. He came on around and took the flag, but they didn't give him the checkered flag. Did you know that you were going to win the race?
Well, I knew that if he pitted for a stop and go, that he couldn't win it anyways, and we had it then. All I had to do was just not spin out the rest of the way around the racetrack.
What has been the difference in this team? You guys have come on like gangbusters in the past 6 or 8 weeks.
Everybody wants to be right where we're at, and that's the difference.
Well, indeed, it's working. Davey, congratulations.
Thank you, Jerry.
Davey Allison in Victory Lane for the first time on a road course picked up his second win of the 1991 season. Bob?
Thanks, Steve.
All right. Well, congratulations to Davey Allison, who has been declared the winner in a very controversial finish of the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 at Sears Point International Raceway. We've got more to come. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Controversial finish. Davey Allison has been declared the winner. Now, here is a replay of the incident that resulted in Ricky Rudd being shown the black flag and Allison the checkered flag when they came down. It happened in turn number 11. There was contact between Rudd in number 5 and Allison in 28 that resulted in this penalty situation. Now, earlier, there was an incident between Tommy Kendall in 42 and Mark Martin in 6. Ned?
Well, they were battling for the lead coming into turn 7. Mark Martin got up on the outside of Kendall coming in, and then as they started off the turn, you can see Martin on the outside, and then Kendall's car goes over into him, hooks the right rear of Martin, spins him around and down to the inside tires and guardrail, and of course it cut the tire on Kendall's car as well, so he had to make a pit stop. And standing by with Tommy Kendall is John Kernan.
Hard work for the type of finish you had today, but you're still able to smile. You and Mark are parked next to each other here in the garage here. Have you had words yet?
Well, Steve Meal came over right afterwards and said, hey, you know, that's racing. Don't feel bad about it. But, you know, we got together going into the corner. Mark got into me a little bit. I got a little loose. Then coming off, I was just picking up the throttle and got loose, tagged his left rear, and he got around, and that's what bent my fender in on the tire. So I don't think the finish was real indicative of how we were running. I think Ricky and I probably ended up 18th and 19th, but that's why they call it racing.
Well, you also had a really great run here. I know you're looking forward to going out to New York and driving Kyle's car there.
Yeah, you know, we were taking one race at a time. You know, I'm really thankful to Felix Sabatis and the whole Sabco team for putting me in the mellow yellow car. And, you know, we wanted to get a win or a top 5 finish here. Didn't happen. We've at least got another one to look forward to. It's not next week like all the rest of these guys, but we've got one in August.
Right after Tommy climbed out of the car, Gary said, what are we going to do at Watkins Glen? Tommy said, hey, we're going to lap the field. Back to you, Bob.
All right, thank you. Unofficially, he does finish in 18th position after a very, very good run here this afternoon. Davey Allison, once again, has won the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 at Sears Point. More to come. Stay with us. Back after this. Place finishers with Jerry Punch.
8, we have Rusty Wallace and Ernie Irvin here, finishing second and third. First, Ernie, your best road course finish ever, but it was a little close out there. You got looped a couple of times, or at least once on the restart. What happened?
Well, you know, the restart, I got spun on, and I don't know what, somebody missed a gear up front, but everybody got bottled up, and so I went to the inside where you can't pass on the inside, so you have to wait to get across the finish line. Cars behind me didn't get slowed down. I got hit. Did a 360, kept on going, and, you know, recovered all right. And, you know, the Kodak crew did a real good job, and we're pretty proud of our third place finish, but still not like winning.
Sort of like coming home, back to Modesto, having a great run. You hustled the car back up front pretty well. Did you see any of those last lap incidents, any of that contact out there?
Nope, didn't get to see one of them, so I can't comment on those. But I saw enough on my own, but it was an interesting day all day. And, you know, you get these cars on a road course, it just gets rough, you know. It's hard to pass here, and you just got to take your chances on certain spots to get by people, and it just makes it where it gets, you know, full contact sport.
Ernie Irvin finishing third. Now, Rusty Wallace finished second, but Rusty had a great run going, a defending champion of this Banquet 300. And Rusty, just with now, what happened with that last restart?
Well, with 10 laps to go, we restarted, and I started up the hill, and the engine lost a cylinder. It started missing real bad. And I don't know if it's a spark plug wire or a rocker arm or something like that, but it's definitely something went haywire. And we really contemplated real hard when the caution flag came out, whether to come in and try to fix it. And I said, hey, we'll just ride it out. And so we rode it out, and it stayed progressive. So it didn't get any worse, didn't get any better, but I was running on 7. But it didn't make a lot of difference through the S's. I just get beat real bad in the straightaways. But I'm happy to take a second place home because I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. I'd like to congratulate Davey and Ernie and all those guys. So it was a good run. And I'd like to thank Miller Genuine Draft, Mobile, AC, and Goodyear. Thank you. I said everything, didn't I? Pontiac. I said thank Pontiac. No, not Chevrolet.
No, me Chevrolet. You're
Pontiac. Chevrolet. These guys will figure it out in a minute down here. Let's go back upstairs to Bob Jenkins.
Okay, so there is a lot of fun here, but there's also some disappointment on the part of Ricky Rudd, and right now he doesn't want to talk with anyone here at ESPN. Here are the unofficial results of this Winston Cup race here this afternoon. Davey Allison wins in a controversial finish. Rusty Wallace was second, followed by Ernie Irvin, Ken Schrader, and Terry Labonte. 6 through 10, Dale Earnhardt after major problems in the early going. Jeff Bodine comes back to finish seventh rather. Mark Martin is 8th, Michael Waltrip 9th, and Brett Bodine finishes in 10th position. As we take a look at the rest of the rundown of the entire field, let's get some closing comments first from Benny Parsons.
Well, when I think of being out in the field as we were again today, Ned and I think of Richard Petty piling in the wall, Bob, and thank God he was able to walk to the ambulance because I didn't mention the stand-up earlier, the steering wheel in the car was bent like a pretzel as Richard hit that wall with such a force. But thank goodness he'd at least walked to the ambulance.
And Ned Jarrett out in turn number 7.
Well, Bob, Neil Goldberg, our producer, put me in a good spot out here today. We said up front that there'd be some action here. We said there'd be some passing on this turn, and certainly there was some of all of it here. So I had a great position to watch the race from, and certainly enjoyed it. We'll see everybody next week at Pocono.
Yeah, we sure will. We'll be at the 2.5-mile tri-oval at Pocono next weekend. There you see the entire field rundown. Now, here are the points based on the fact that Ricky Rudd may be placed in 18th position at the conclusion of this event. So these are how the points will be based on Rudd finishing in 18th position, the last car on the lead lap. Ernie Irvin moving into 5th place in the point standings, and Ken Schrader moving all the way up to 3rd. And here are the standings in the quest for the Cup, 6 through 10. Quite a day of racing here at Sonoma. Tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, the Blue Jays and Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Sunday Night Baseball. Don't forget, next week we will be in Pocono, Pennsylvania for more Winston Cup racing on the 2.5-mile tri-oval there. We hope you'll be with us next Sunday for all of the live action. Don't forget, SportsCenter is coming up at the bottom of the hour. That's at 6:30 Eastern Time. Once again, our congratulations to Davey Allison, who was declared the winner this afternoon of the Banquet Frozen Foods 300 from Sonoma. For Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, John Kernan, and Dr. Jerry Punch, this is Bob Jenkins. Thanks for joining us. So long, everyone. And now, let's join the second segment of this week's edition of ESPN Speed Week with all the news from motorsports.